Nobody builds 5G like Verizon builds 5G, because we're the engineers who built the most reliable network in America. And the more you do with 5G, the more building it right matters. The more your network matters. The more Verizon engineers going the extra mile matters. It's us pushing us. It's Verizon versus Verizon. 5G built right from America's most reliable network. Most reliable based on rankings from RootMetrics second half 2020 U.S. report of 3 mobile networks. Results may vary. Award is not an endorsement.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out, go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
I like him. Who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me. I like him.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
And we are live here on the Voices of Wrestling Flagship podcast. I'm Rich Craich, alongside, as always, the king of banter, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what a week. What a week. This is classic Flagship here. I'm excited. Yeah, I slapped my hands. I did that before I got down to record this show. I got all my drinks. I got multiple drinks. You know, that's how I know I'm excited. I got I got a coffee here. I got a beer. I got a water. I'm ready to go. Like, I got everything possibly, figured out. And then I did the thing where, I put all the drinks down. I was about to sit down. And I went, let's do this thing. Let's go, Flagship, baby. Let's do this. So I'm excited. Can't wait.
Yeah, but then you're going to have to take a leak at some point.
Yeah, that's going to definitely happen, for sure. That I did want to let you know that I will at some point have to pee, and I will try to coordinate it at a good time. But yeah, it's going to be a wild one today.
Can I let you behind the curtain for a second?
Absolutely, yeah. Take us.
I think the listeners enjoy going behind the curtain. Rich.
Uh-huh.
Enjoy that, right? Last week I definitely pissed in a water bottle while the show was happening.
Whoa, okay. So did you mute, or did you just creatively
let it fly? I let it fly because I figured if you heard it, it would make for great radio.
So no, why you didn't feel confident enough to leave? You didn't feel confident enough to get up and leave?
Well, okay. Sometimes this is what I'll do.
And now, for the record, I've gotten very close. I have done the eyeing it and figuring out the problem is, if I was on a headset, I can't really mute with this mic setup that I have. So I always get a little worried about that. But I have eyed a water bottle for upwards of 25 minutes and said, would it be the worst thing if I piss in this water bottle right now? So I totally get where you're coming from. But this is a first done, right, for you?
Yeah, okay, here's what I'll do. Normally, if I have to pee.
Paint the picture,
right?
Please, for all of us.
Normally, I know what I've been doing this with you for almost 10 years.
Stop saying that, please. Thank you.
No, well, it's the truth. I only say the truth. So I know certain things that I can ask you where you are just going to go on a Craich thing and just not shut up. So I can ask you, I know what to ask you where you're just going to talk for long enough for me to go into the bathroom, take a piss, and come back.
Right, yeah. And for you, the same as well. It's like, I remember one time there was time I really had to go, and I don't even think there was a real reason, but I just mentioned Danhausen for some reason, and you were like, "Oh, don't get me started on this fucking Danhausen," and then it was perfect. Like, I don't even think there was a reason for you to rant about Danhausen, but I remember it well. I was like, God, I need a Joe thing right now. And Danhausen and Alley Cat are usually pretty good ones. So
yeah, so sometimes I'll do that and I'll come back, or sometimes I'll wait for you to do one of the ad reads because I know exactly how long those are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's enough time for me to pee and come back. But last week, I don't know what it was. I couldn't find an opening. I don't think we had any ads, and I had to piss, and I had an empty water bottle, and I just pissed into the bottle, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to mute. Because if he hears it, it's going to be tremendous radio.
Yeah, me saying, Joe, are you pissing in a water bottle? Like that, that
and I'm going to go, yes.
Exact cadence. And you'll go, yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing. But I wasn't going to say anything unless you said something. I wasn't going to force it.
Interesting. Now, when... Do you remember what segment this was so that people astute listeners can go back and listen? And
No, definitely
Okay.
third hour, but I don't know exactly where in the third hour, but it was definitely third hour. The other thing was I didn't have the door locked to the room, and I was actually more terrified of my wife walking in, catching me peeing in a bottle.
It's one thing to record a podcast for 3 hours every single week, but now you're peeing in bottles too. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that I was more scared of. I was afraid she was going to come in and see me peeing in the bottle. That was like more terrifying in my mind than you hearing it. But that also would have led to tremendous radio if she walked in and like screamed because I was pissing in a bottle, and that would have been good too. Behind the curtain number 2. Are you ready to go behind the curtain?
I am. I did want to just say that people, you hear the term, like people say, oh, I pissed in a water bottle, I pissed in a Gatorade bottle, all that sort of stuff. It is very difficult if you've never done it. It's an art form. So is this this is not the first time you've ever done this, correct?
I had never pissed in a bottle, and I could tell you that I was dabbing up pee droplets from the carpet when I was done.
Yeah, it's not good. Like I've done it before. I've done it in cars and stuff, and you think, oh, this is easy. It's I just put this thing in here and then I pee. It's not that easy. And then the problem that I always have, and I don't know if you had this problem, this is a terrible way to start this show. We're probably going to get a bunch of new listeners that have never listened before, new $10 subscribers, and here they are listening to Joe and Rich break down pissing in a bottle. But one problem that I've had, and I don't know if you had this problem as well, is when you have to go so badly that you've resorted to pissing in the bottle, you got to go pretty bad. And the problem is if the bottle's not big enough. Have you ever had this? Well, you said
well, see that I was just going to say I have never pissed in a bottle. So I wasn't sure if it was going to contain my entire pit.
Yeah, and it does. Sometimes it does, and then sometimes you get thrown for a loop, and you do this math in your head, and you're like, oh no, this thing's 3/4 full, and I still got a lot to go. And then you're like, then it's a panic time, because then you keep going, and then you have an overflowing bottle of piss all over wherever you are, whether it be your car or your carpet or wherever. And now it's like, oh, what the hell do I do? So I've had times where I've had to stop midstream. Throw the pee out of the window and then go right back to it. But that's not going to be clean. That's going to
I can't stop midstream.
It's not. Well, you can kind of. I mean, when the going gets tough, you got to do it. But it's not great. Trust me, it was not. It was not one of my finer moments.
No, I feel like I'm going to damage my gimmick if I do that. I can't squeeze it shut. No way. But there was a moment of panic because it was filling up fast.
Yeah, it goes quick too. It goes quick. It's warm and it's quick and
oh, it's so warm and gross.
It's so disgusting.
I didn't even want to look at it. I put it like behind the desk. I was like, I'll get that later. Capped it up and put it behind the desk. But the other problem is I have an enormous penis, so it was really hard to maneuver. To point at the
yeah.
The top.
Are we talking Gatorade bottle here? Because that's the go-to always. Because the bigger mouth, you know what I mean. Pretty good for the girth of any man can usually fit into a Gatorade bottle. This is just a normal water bottle.
I'm pretty large, Rich. I'm pretty large, but it was a standard water bottle.
Those are tough. Those are tricky.
It was real tough. Yeah,
you got to have a good stream. You got to have a good, solid, consistent stream to get that going. So
behind the curtain number 2.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
I just published a new Thursday TV reviews, breaking down the Dynamite from yesterday. $5 tier, everybody. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. I recorded that entire show naked. That's behind the curtain.
Naked. Nothing.
Completely nude.
Nothing.
Fresh out of the shower.
No underwear, no towel, no shirt.
Rich, naked as a newborn.
Now, what kind of chair do you do this show in? You bounce around. You bounce around in a few different places, but
I got a standard desk chair.
So leather or like faux leather?
Yeah, like a standard leather desk chair. Yeah,
That's okay.
I'm not a gamer chair guy.
Right. Well, I wasn't sure if it was like some sort of like there's different like I have my back is or my seat is leathery, but the back's kind of like a I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's not, the back's not leather. It's more of a kind of like you said, like kind of the standard desk chair. So I gotta wonder, man, the naked on the leather, hot in Texas. I don't know. I don't know.
Listen. I'm not a cheapskate. This is fine Corinthian leather. It was very soft on my body. It's very soft on my body. There's no problems with that. So it's.
I don't know about the naked. I don't know. That's a tough act to follow. No, what I do is I'm a basketball short guy all the time. All around the house I wear the basketball shorts. The second I walk in the house, it's straight to the basketball shorts. What I will do before the flagship is get rid of that underwear. I got no time for underwear when I'm doing a flagship.
Right.
So I get that. I get the need to be free, but you're a little too free. I think the full naked is a tough.
The problem is okay.
The problem is you're naked.
That's not the problem. I'm going to tell you the problem.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not a visual medium, Rich. Okay, fresh from the shower, I'm feeling good. It feels good.
I will say this: you are a man who does his best work naked, so I get it.
Oh, without question.
Yeah,
Listen,
okay.
They don't call me the Kenta Kobashi of sex for nothing, Rich. The thing about it is, the room where I record these shows, the room I'm in now, happens to be that one room in the house that is the hottest fucking room in the house, no matter how much you blast the
Same
air.
here. Yeah, same with me. Yeah, that's why I have open windows and a fan going right now because, the air is on, the air is going, but it never gets to this room, ever.
Everyone has that room in the house. Like, you never know which one it's going to be, but that's the other thing, too. So, now listen, I can throw my cam on and you can take a look. Do you want to gamble? Do you think I'm naked now?
I really don't want to gamble, to be honest.
I can stand up, but we can throw that cam on. And
I'm
you can
good.
Take a shot.
I think I'm all right. But thank you.
I happen to be fully clothed at this point.
Now, when you say fully clothed, are we talking like, are you wearing slacks and like a button up? Like what determines fully?
Slacks and a button? Why would I put on slacks?
It's professional. It's a professional operation here.
Okay. First of all, I haven't heard the word slacks since like my grandmother in 1998
suspenders, you got suspenders and slacks.
I got my first real job, and she's like, "You want me to take you to the store for some slacks?" That's the last time I heard the word slacks. Okay, that's number one. Number two, why would I put on like a button up and get fully dressed?
I like the idea. We should do that. We should now have a dress code for these flagships. We should be wearing tuxedos or suits, black tie, collared shirts. I'm not going to do that.
I'll tell you what, if we did the gimmick where it's like a video podcast or whatever, I would absolutely get dressed up for that.
Yeah.
You got to look your best and you got to present a professional image. Okay. That's what I'm talking about with the gamer chair. I'll watch some of these streams of these wrestling podcasters and they're sitting on like a gamer chair and they're wearing a fucking Sasha Banks t-shirt. And I'm like, the fuck is this? Okay. Is this a professional operation or, I should probably, I probably should cut this one short, but you get the idea here. It's like, no, look the part. Do you own a sport coat? Would it kill you to, look like you're doing, but it is what it is, but we're never going to do that kind of show. I would be very uncomfortable speaking on camera and doing this show.
Yeah, I do too much. Like I'm all over the place. I'm petting dogs. I'm picking my nose. You know what I mean? I'm drinking beer and coffee. You're talking and I'm looking off screen and typing something up, or I'm looking at the chat room. Like I can't look in one direction, and then you gotta, you have to enunciate in certain ways. You gotta play the part, and I don't want to do that. It's
I got one eye on the Reds game half the time.
That's what I mean. Right.
You kidding me?
There's some times where like my toes are itching and I'm like itching my toe. I mean, it would be a disgusting show, a brutally disgusting show.
I got to do my hair.
Yeah. Oh,
Rich,
yeah.
I'm
wearing a hat. I'm
pissing in a bottle.
Right.
I'm pissing in a bottle. I can't be. Could you imagine like Sean Ross Sapp getting up and pissing in a bottle in the middle of his podcast with Denise Salcedo? Could you imagine that? Ridiculous. Can't do it. So no, we're not going to do who wants to watch us talk anyway?
I have no idea. Yeah, Shake the Ropes has done it for the pretty good success there with Jeff and Chris are doing a pretty good job with it, but it's definitely not something I have absolutely zero interest in ever doing.
Their YouTube views are up since they put the
people
videos
love the
up.
faces.
So
people love the faces. So
people enjoy the faces, and I'll be honest, I'm pretty easy to look at, but it's just a matter of I'm just not. I got too much going. I don't know. I'm just not interested in that. If there's more money to be made somehow, then, we can talk. But, within
reason. Yeah. But, I'm all over the place on this show. I really don't. Yeah. Like you said, one eye is in a different direction. You can go look at Will Ospreay holding the title. That's what you can look at for this show. It's fine.
I'm an absolute whore. So if there's a way to make money off of doing the video, let me tell you, those Thursday TV reviews are going to be on video starting next week. So even after all this talk, I would be the first one to, if it meant making an extra buck.
Yeah, you also got to dress the room up a little bit too. Like
you do.
Like this room's okay, the one that I have, but it's not. I'd have to really put some work in here to get.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm never going to be gamer chair guy with a replica belt behind me.
Right, with a ring light in front of you or whatever. And the other part too is what happens is, so right now, and it's going to happen in like an hour here, is I start the show and I don't turn any lights on. I'm just in this normal room or whatever. And what happens is, the sun's still out and it's fine or whatever, but like in an hour, the sun's going to go down, but I'm here in the midst of the show and I'm talking, I'm doing all this sort of stuff. I have to show I do it like pitch black, and then the nurse comes home and she turns a light on. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm here and I can't reach the light. Like, what am I going to do? And like, she's like, just turn the light on before you start. But I'm like, when I'm starting, there's, ample sunlight. I'm not thinking about it. But yeah, if I was on video, I'd have to think about that. And I don't really want to. So
yeah, you got to be concerned with what's behind you. And
yeah, what is even behind
the whole
me?
thing.
Like, I got an Ultimo Dragon mask. That's kind of cool. So
I've got a painting of a naked lady behind me.
Do you know this naked lady? Is it TLB or is it just a...
Nah, it's artful. It's something she
okay.
It's like one of them. It's like it's a painting
like
of
a Monet.
It is. It's paint me like one of your French girls kind of thing.
Got
it.
Yeah.
A woman standing there. You can't see any boobies because she's facing the other way.
Oh, so what's the point? So it's all booty. It's all booty.
You can see her back, and then there's like a wraparound by her butt, and you can just see a little bit of butt crack.
What's she working with? Pretty good.
It's I don't know, man. It's a painting.
Okay.
It's hard to tell. Yeah. It's not a bad body.
I feel like it's not that hard to tell, but all right.
I mean,
you're Joe Lanza. You can tell. You can tell. It's you. Like,
would I bang the girl in the painting? Yes.
That's what I'm trying to get around.
That's what you're getting at.
Yes, thank you.
So there's a naked lady painting, very artful, and then beneath it is like a flower fucking vase with some white violets coming out. What's a white flower? Is it a violet? I'm not a botanist.
A white, it could be a lot of different things.
Lilac or something.
It could be a lilac. It potentially be a lilac.
There's a fancy candle, and I don't know. It's
clearly Joe has not
decorated the room.
It's possible. Yeah. Joe did not put the hydrangea behind him or whatever.
There's two naked lady paintings.
The lily or whatever behind him. So
two
naked ladies?
Yeah, there's a naked lady on the other wall too.
Is this the sex room or what?
Oh, it absolutely is.
I was going to say, okay.
This is where it all happens, my friend. But they're like classy paintings.
Right. Well, yeah. You're a classy man, so I get it.
Well, listen, some may say, but she put a mirror up.
Uh-oh.
Right above I have to look at myself when I'm doing the show now. It is awful.
That is weird.
The faces I make when I say certain words, this is why this show can't be on video. I'm like, what is this mirror? She won't let me move it now either. So the mirror is there to stay, apparently. So sometimes I'll slide the chair just out of view. There's so much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about. Yeah, let's. Well, now I have to make the very awkward transition to Joe bangs in a room with two naked French paintings, and we have. Okay, you know what? I have a better way to do this. Okay, we have a lot to get to. This week we have Will Ospreay. He's injured. IWGP World Heavyweight title is vacated. We'll discuss that. AEW's got a new TV deal. They're changing channels. We'll discuss that. NXT cut a bunch of people. We'll discuss that. WrestleMania Backlash, Joe, the zombie match that happened last weekend. We'll talk about that. We also will get to MCW's New Horizon, Melbourne City Wrestling, their show from earlier this month, New Horizons, which we watched, and also Dragon Gate, King of Gate. We'll check in on what's going on in Dragon Gate. So before we do any of that, though, we do have to start, unfortunately, with some deaths that we heard about last week. The first of which being New Jack, who suffered a heart attack and died Friday afternoon at 58 years old for New Jack. Then we'll also talk about Don Kernodle as well, who passed away at age 71 over the weekend. But we'll obviously start with New Jack here. Joe, as the host of Joe Vember to Remember on patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. You are obviously an ECW fan, well-versed in New Jack. You've been to many ECW shows back in the day. You one of the foremost experts on New Jack, I should say. So what are your thoughts on when you heard about New Jack's passing and maybe for people that weren't there live? Like I saw the tail end of New Jack. I saw 1997, 98, 99, that era of New Jack. You pretty much saw it all. You saw the entire ECW run of New Jack in real time, in person sometimes. For people that might not really quite get it with New Jack, or only know New Jack from Dark Side of the Ring, or only know New Jack from memes and stuff, like what did he mean and how important was he to wrestling in the 90s?
When you're talking about ECW and what most, if not all, people would call the peak era of ECW, which I would term from about 1995 until Barely Legal. I think those are good beginning and end points to what I would consider when people think about ECW, they're probably thinking about 1995 to Barely Legal. It all kind of changed after Barely Legal. It wasn't quite the same. And it wasn't the same promotion before 1995 either. When you think about that era of ECW, which is the most memorable era of ECW, and when I think about going to those shows in the ECW arena and the memories that I have, there's Sandman's entrance, which every time was just something special. There's Brian Pillman showing up, which everyone just saw Dark Side of the Ring, and when those lights went off and then the lights came on and Pillman was standing there, I mean, I'll never forget that. That was wild, and also involved New Jack at one point too. There was, there's all of these different, Sabu, and all the times that he would get fired or he'd quit, and then the lights would go out and the lights would come on and Sabu would be there. There's the transformation of Taz from the Tasmaniac into Taz, the human suplex machine who can stop the path of rage and all that. And I can picture all of these things in my mind's eye, and these guys making their ring walks, and it really, for me, it was the best time for me as a wrestling fan. That's if I go back in time to any point in time to revisit any time as a wrestling fan, that would be it. About 1995 to 1997, and going to those ECW arena shows. But maybe at the very top of the list, I don't know if anything can top the energy and the feel and what it was like when New Jack's music would hit, Natural Born Killers would hit, and he'd come out with that garbage pail and just fucking annihilate guys while the music played. They wouldn't turn the music off. And just his interplay with the crowd and the charisma that just oozed off of this guy. And I do believe that he was every bit as important to ECW as the Sandman or Tommy Dreamer or Taz or Sabu in terms of the total package. You go to an ECW show, part of the package was that fucking music's going to hit.
That screech. You're going to hear that screech, and you know someone's going to get fucked up in a second.
Yeah. And New Jack's going to come out, and everyone's going to be on their feet, and the entire building is going to be buzzing. And those are some of the biggest pops I've ever heard in that building. And he just had a way. He had it. He had that charisma, the way he had that thing where just all eyes were drawn to him. And just one of the most unique wrestlers of all time. And again, that's one of those memories I'll never forget when it comes to wrestling, is New Jack, just those times coming down the ring to that music. And even times like before the show, outside, waiting online, where a lot of times New Jack and Mustafa would come out, or they'd just be arriving to the building or whatever, and he would always fuck with the line. He would always screw with the line. Like, he'd be out there and he'd be goofing off with people. And one bit that he would always used to do, he would always do this bit. He would find like the nerdiest, wormiest looking white boy, right? And he'd walk past him, and he's fucking with the fans and joking with him. But then he would stop in his tracks. And he would turn around, he'd whip his head around to whoever this,
right, which is already horrifying, by the way.
So he would stop in his tracks, because he'd be out there just goofing off with people, but then he would stop in his tracks, and he'd whip around and he'd get right in the kid's face, and he'd say, "What did you say, boy?" And the kid would look confused, and he'd go, "Did you call me the N-word?" But he wouldn't say N-word, Rich. He said, "Did you call me the N-word?" And the kid would look terrified, like, I'm about to lose my life.
I'm going to die right here.
He's like, "Say it to my face, motherfucker." I need that Mustafa, like, pulling him off.
Who's just as terrifying, by the way. New Jack is terrifying. Mustafa also terrifying.
Mustafa with those big eyes.
Did he have the bandana too? Was he wearing like the bandana?
Mustafa, let me tell you something. He had those giant eyes that would bug out of his head, and he didn't do a lot of the talking, but he was a vital part of the act.
Absolutely.
So he'd be like pulling Jack away, and the veterans of the line knew the bit, right? Because he did this bit. I've seen it done 2 or 3 times. And then right when the kid would be on the verge of tears, New Jack would go, "I'm just fucking with you," and like fist bump him and hug it out. and everyone would just laugh and go crazy. But that was New Jack. He just had that personality, and he was funny, and he just had a one-liner for everybody as he was walking down that line. And I think what Paul Heyman understood was, this guy is going to be a babyface up here. Like, we might have to bring him in as a heel, and maybe he's a heel in fucking Tennessee, and that made sense for Smokey, without question. But up here, people are going to love this guy, so he had to be a babyface. And he ended up being one of the biggest baby faces in the company. I do believe he was a vital part of the package and an important part of the package. And I do think people paid to come see New Jack. And, he just had a presence and an aura. And I'll tell you something else about New Jack. He was one of the last of the guys that you can really believe in. He worked everyone. You really, you never knew whether someone was going to get maimed in that ring. And a lot of times people did get maimed in that ring. Whether it was, the mass transit incident, or whether it was throwing Vic Grimes off of that scaffold, and it's just, New Jack felt real in a way that very few wrestlers have felt real since. Even in an era, even in a building full of people that were reading newsletters, like the ECW arena, people still weren't sure with him. And he was one of the last of the great workers from that perspective because, people believed he could kill somebody. I mean, it sounds crazy to say that, but people really believed he could kill someone, and he almost did.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I think the big part about that, and I should say, like you said, is that there were examples of him in the middle of a match just deciding, you know what, fuck this guy, and just basically beating the fuck out of the guy. You know what I mean? Like beating the hell out of him, doing and that happened regular enough that you could buy, and I went back and watched a bunch of New Jack matches over this weekend, for just to kind of get that aura again, and it still is there, even matches that I know that he doesn't turn on the guy or doesn't all of a sudden go nuts. Like, you watch matches and it is totally plausible as you're watching that match that New Jack would just decide, you know what, fuck you, and just hit the guy with something, in a way that he maybe shouldn't hit him or whatever. It's just, there's an aura of danger around New Jack, and it still exists when you watch New Jack matches. And yeah, it's something, it's a feeling, it's an uneasiness that you just do not feel with any other wrestler these days. There's nobody on earth that I feel that with, even for a second. Maybe sometimes Nick Gage, sometimes, very, very rarely, but never with nobody else. Like, with nobody else did you have that aura, but you had that every single time New Jack came down in the ring, that you had no idea. And sometimes I guess the workers probably had no idea what was going to happen in the course of that match, in the course of those 10 minutes while that song's playing. What the hell is going to happen to them when they're in the ring there with New Jack?
Nick Gage is probably the closest thing in terms of, if there's younger listeners who didn't experience New Jack. Nick Gage is the closest comp, but it's not the same. I mean, Nick Gage has the incredible entrance, and you can feel that the people connect with him, and that's very similar. But, once Nick Gage gets in the ring, it's almost like, I don't want to, it's almost like Nick Gage works too light. Like, you can tell Nick Gage is working at all times. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
He'll put his own body through anything. And if you talk to people who have wrestled Nick Gage, because I have, they'll tell you he works light as a feather. Like, they love working with Nick Gage. He does all that shit to himself, and you can tell he's working. Like, New Jack, it's like the lines were blurred. He would fuck you up as part of the match just to get himself over, and you knew you had to bring it when you got in there with it. There was a different energy, and he was like one of the last guys that could really sell it. And I think a lot of it was because he really, like, a lot of the stories you hear about New Jack were true, so that's part of it. He had a low tolerance for bullshit, and if you made an enemy of him, you were in trouble. But I think he was also smart enough to know that he could leverage that believability that he had. I mean, you just look at the Vic Grimes thing, and there's a lot of questions as to whether that was legitimate or not. I mean, when you hear New Jack talk about it, and he says, no, I was trying to kill the motherfucker, right? That's how he played it. But you can kind of see Grimes going with it if you watch the spot over and over, maybe it was one of those things where it was planned and it was a work, but it was also part shoot because New Jack did want revenge and all that. And because Grimes almost died and nearly landed outside the ring, then maybe New Jack played it up because he's like, well, fuck, this will work for my fucking gimmick if I tell people I tried to kill him. But there's a lot of questions around the Vic Grimes thing. And, if you hear him tell it, he says that he hit him with, there's so many versions of the story. Like, he says he used a stun gun on him, and then Grimes was like, I can't feel my legs. And then the famous line where New Jack says, well, you're not going to need him in a minute, motherfucker. And then,
yeah. I hate to laugh at that.
It's like, and then he says he threw him off, but you can see Grimes going. It's like Grimes isn't fighting it. He's going with it. It's like, I feel like the spot was very obviously planned.
Yeah. But yeah, like you're saying, it's one of those weird. And again, that's that right there. The very idea that you and I can still have this discussion, that there was a Dark Side of the Ring episode, that this spot has been dissected and replayed 1,000 times, and there's still debate about, was this, did New Jack really try to kill this guy, or was this a work? I think that sums it up right there. That danger that you have with New Jack is that all these years later, 20 years later, or whatever it was at this point, we're still not quite sure if he would really try to kill this guy or not.
I think it's a little both. I think they planned the spot, but New Jack thought to himself, I can get revenge on this motherfucker too. This is my perfect opportunity because he's agreeing to get thrown off a fucking scaffold.
Right.
So, did he give a little extra oomph on the toss? I don't know. We'll probably never know. But, mass transit. New Jack. Did you see New Jack's final tweet? Have you seen this?
I don't think I have. Yeah, let me go check it out.
Pull up New Jack's account. Now, his wife has tweeted multiple times, but if you go into the replies, his tweets and replies. Here, I'll pull it up. I got it in front of me. So his final tweet ever was this, and his wife has tweeted a lot, so I'm still scrolling down. Let's see. And this is concerning, obviously, the Eric Koulas mass transit incident. Here we go. Someone brought up there was a whole thread talking about the Eric Koulas thing. And New Jack's final tweet is, I don't feel bad at all. He died years later because he ate himself to death. He also asked me to cut him, so I did. That's the most New Jack quote you're ever going to have.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and again, I hate to laugh, but it's...
And that's the guy's final tweet.
It's just so ridiculous.
That's what he leaves to the world. And one tweet before that is responding to a troll with 4 pictures of him and his wife getting it on in a hotel room with a hot tub. That's New Jack.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
That's the essence of New Jack in 2 tweets. The tweet before that is 4 pictures of him. They're making out in the hot tub. They're making out in the room with pink lighting, and he's taking a picture of the ceiling mirror in their hotel room. And the next tweet is responding to someone talking about mass transit with, I don't feel bad at all. He died years later because he ate himself to death. He also asked me to cut him, so I did. And that's how he viewed the Eric Koulas thing. The kid was underage. He lied about his age. He got on the show, and he got in over his head. He told New Jack to cut him. New Jack cut him. The kid panicked. He cut him too deep. He almost died in the ring. And then, he died years later with, unrelated.
Yeah.
He got gastric bypass, I think, or something, and then
I think
he always had problems with his weight.
Yeah. There was another one as well. I remember we retweeted this. This is from last month, where someone shared the photo of it's like prowrestlingstories.com or whatever, and it's like, the mass transit issue happened, and the first comment on Facebook is New Jack and says, yeah, I did it, and like OJ, I got away with it. It's just perfect.
Well, that was the famous promo from Smoky Mountain where he said that. Yeah, that was his promo in Smoky Mountain.
Oh my god.
Where he said, keep up the good work, OJ. That's 2 less we have to worry about. And then the whole crowd was just like, you want to fucking kill him.
Good God.
That's the famous Smoky Mountain promo.
Right. He is one of these guys. And again, like the reason I'm laughing and doing all this, like I understand there are probably people listening to this that think it's horrific that like this guy is considered like awesome and cool and interesting and fun. But for people that understand that this business is as trash as humanly possible, that it's it's just professional liars. It's just scuzzy trash, like entertainment. People that understand that there's a value in a New Jack. You know what I mean? Like, there's a value if you can separate like your actual beliefs to whatever the fuck this wrestling thing is. Somebody like a New Jack, you can kind of be like, like, I don't agree with, I wouldn't do what New Jack does, but it's, he is New Jack. Like, he's unabashedly New Jack, and he always was. He
no doubt was a worker, but he was also real.
Yeah.
And that's where the lines would get blurred. And I heard Lance Storm tell a great story. He did audio with Brian Alvarez a couple days ago. And he said in Smokey, Tracy Smothers would sell Confederate flags at the gimmick table. And at one of the shows, New Jack said, can I borrow one of those tonight? And Smothers was like, yeah, no problem. So he gave him the Confederate flag. And Jack got in the ring for his match, and he ripped up the Confederate flag and wiped his ass with it, and spit on it and everything else, and got all kinds of heat. And then at intermission, Smothers sold more Confederate flags than he ever sold in his life because they all wanted to buy the Confederate flags. So then New Jack and Smothers were like, we need to do this every night. And then Smothers cut New Jack in on the Confederate flag sales, like on the rest of the loop, because so he was a worker.
They're workers, yeah. They're pro wrestling, yeah. It's pro wrestling.
And you would think that, New Jack and Tracy Smothers are two guys that wouldn't get along, but they're just workers.
They don't give a shit. Yeah, as long as the check cashes, they'll survive. You know what I mean? They'll be okay being on completely different ends of the spectrum. They don't give a shit because there's money involved and it's pro wrestling. So.
And you don't even know if they're on two different. It's just the guy sells Confederate flags because he thinks it's a good gimmick.
Yeah.
The other guy is does his gimmick because he thinks it's good. And then when it works for both of them, they're rolling in the money. So. The guy was definitely, I think, when it came to New Jack, I do think he played into it a bit because he knew it was good for him and it was going to help him make money if people thought that he was not to steal from Brian Pillman like a loose cannon type and this guy who could at any moment make it. He knew that was advantageous to him. And when it came to the Gangstas as an act, I know we mentioned it, but you don't want to sell Mustafa short. I mean, he wasn't the talker, but a very important part of the act. He had that size and those. I'll never forget those eyes being in that building where he'd have that handkerchief over his mouth and he would just turn his head and look, and those eyes were just coming out of his skull, and they were intimidating in all the right ways. It's a fucking, they were great workers in that way where they made you believe. And Cornette's idea was to have them be race baiting, and New Jack cut all those great promos, but it was a good example where it crossed the line into the bad kind of heat, and it ended up not drawing money. The big thing on that is Cornette even admits that at the end of the day it didn't work because he pissed people off so much that they wouldn't buy tickets. Like, it went too far, so that didn't work. And then Heyman obviously wanted to get a hold of him, and there's a lot of crazy stories of how they went from one company to the other. But they eventually ended up in ECW, and, depending on whose version of the stories you want to believe, they ended up in ECW, and they had to be they had to be faces at some point. That crowd was not going to, that's the difference between South Philadelphia.
Yeah. That urban Philadelphia crowd was not going to,
we didn't want to boo this guy. Are you kidding me? They were great. Like, he had to be a baby fan, and then eventually, down the line, Mustafa turned on him, and they did all that craziness.
Yeah, that was the first match I watched, was Mustafa versus New Jack from.
Really?
Yeah,
that was your entry point.
No, this weekend. I'll talk about my New Jack entry point here in a bit. When you're done, I'll kind of touch on it, but. No, that's the first match I watched this weekend because I remember it pretty vividly. I remember watching it live on pay-per-view, ordering it at the time when I would very rarely get pay-per-views, but I was that interested in seeing the breakup of the Gangstas that I found a way to order that one. So
yeah, so that's what I think of when I think of New Jack. Obviously, he was never ever going to get a shot in WWE because they couldn't trust him. Again, he was such a good worker that this is what I'm talking about. It's like, people thought that he was fucking real because in a lot of ways he was. But TNA gave him a shot, and he behaved himself and, did a lot of comedy stuff. I know Garrett Kidney tweeted out a lot of his old TNA stuff, the comedy stuff he did with Shark Boy and everything. So that was a whole different side of him. And he did all the ECW reunion shows and all that kind of thing. But yeah, just totally unique in pro wrestling, and the last of the guys that you can really believe in, I think, is what his lasting legacy will be. I can't think of many people since that you can legitimately believe in. Minoru Suzuki, in a weird way, is someone you can like believe in, but in a different way.
It doesn't. Yeah, there's not that sense that I might see a murder, like somebody might die. You know, like I could buy that Minoru Suzuki might, you know, lay in a submission a little bit longer, stretch you, or kind of stiff you a little bit, but not like I might see a murder in the middle of this ring. Like if this guy just decides to, if this guy just decides to, if you fuck something up slightly, this guy might just say, you know what, and literally kill you in the middle of this ring. There was that aura about him that was just so unique and different.
I mean, maybe Necro Butcher for a little while there, but again, not the same kind of energy.
I'd say that's pretty close. That's actually not too bad.
I had Necro Butcher running right at me at a show once where they were brawling outside the ring, and I couldn't have got out of the way fast enough.
Yeah,
that motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but it's like, it's not the same kind of energy, though. It's just, you know, like that Bruiser Brody thing is what New Jack had, and I don't know.
You're nervous when you watch New Jack matches. You still are, and that's what I noticed this weekend as I went back and watched it. You're just nervous for whatever it is. Something's gonna happen. Something, you know. There's just and usually something did. Like there was a pretty good and a lot of it was work. You know, 90% of the time it was all just work stuff. But yeah, there was always that weirdness of I don't know, like maybe something does kind of change. And I want to allude to one thing here because I was talking about how kind of my entry point into ECW, my entry point into New Jack. And I remember I forget the exact match. I forget exactly the moment or whatever. But one thing I do vividly remember about first watching ECW and getting it, you know, into ECW was about like early 1998. I forget exactly what time. And I'm just, you know, flipping channel. I always said my parents had a TV in their upstairs in like our attic that was like one of those old UHF TVs, and you could click around and all that sort of stuff. And that's how I found ECW, is because it was airing on some over-the-air network, some Gary, Indiana channel or whatever that I would not have gotten on my normal cable system, but I just happened to at that moment be up on that TV, flipping around and landing on it. And I remember that the first person that I saw in ECW was New Jack. And I flipped on, and all of a sudden, here is this guy with a shopping cart full of shit, beating the fuck out of somebody, while Natural Born Killers, which I love that song at the time, huge fan of Dr. Dre at the time, and of course Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, just an incredible song to this day, still an awesome song, and it was even better because that guy. So I'm watching this wrestling show, but it doesn't look and it doesn't feel like a wrestling show. You know what I mean? Like I was in the midst of the Attitude Era in WCW, but this was a whole different thing. The optics of this, nobody else was in the ring beating the fuck out of each other with a chair and a kendo stick and a guitar and all that sort of shit with a shopping cart full of garbage while a song is blaring loudly, a song that I loved and a really cool song is blaring loudly, and then also the entire the fan base is just going nuts. People are just screaming, jumping up and down, just going absolutely crazy. I mean, it is that first time you experience New Jack, and unfortunately, like a lot of people, if you're going to go to the network or Peacock or whatever, you're not going to get that exact experience because you're not going to get Natural Born Killers. So I would definitely recommend, if you can, go onto YouTube and trying to find it. But just the audio that I was hearing and the optics of it was so, and from that point forward, I was like, this is incredible. This is so much different than all these other things. And you get that with a lot with ECW, of course. You know, everybody in ECW had a little bit of a different look and feel in it, but nobody had such a dramatic change like New Jack. What New Jack was doing was it felt like a different thing than wrestling. You know, RVD comes out and he's doing cool shit and he's using, you know, chairs and stuff. But at the end of the day, he's just kind of in there working. Like, I love RVD, but like, you know what I mean? He's just kind of in there just wrestling. Taz, an incredible aura and presence or whatever, but he's just going in there and throwing guys on in suplexes or whatever. It's wrestling, but it's just kind of, you know, it's a different form of wrestling. What New Jack was doing was not wrestling. To me, it was just like this totally different thing, and it immediately attracted me because, hey, I already have 2 hours on Mondays and 3 hours on Mondays of WCW, and I already have all this other stuff, but this is appointment television now. This is something I need to watch because it's that much different. And I think that's what always stood out to me about New Jack. It's just the aesthetics and the optics of a New Jack was so different and so unique that you couldn't help but get your attention as it's happening. As that song's blaring and he's beating people up and the crowd is going nuts. It's a totally different thing. And it's hard to replicate that feeling that I had when I watched it that first time. I went, what is this? Like, it was just insane. It didn't feel like wrestling, and that was always an attraction to me for when I started watching ECW from about like early 1998, late 1997, I forget the exact time, through basically the end, and then, you know, it went away. But I watched it until the end, and New Jack was a constant throughout all that, and one of my favorite wrestlers of all time because of that.
He got a lot of mileage out of that very simple match structure. I mean, his matches were essentially just him doing a run-in, really. And, you know, and he did the wild stage dives a lot. Like, that was, and that's kind of like when that becomes your thing and you have to keep doing that over and over, you know, that becomes a major problem. And he had serious injuries, you know, the eye, the knees and everything else. You know, Mustafa never did that shit. You know, he wasn't jumping off stages and shit. But yeah, just such a unique figure. And in terms of wrestlers that I've seen live, you know, in the absolute pantheon of live wrestling experience is New Jack. I mean, the list would be very, very short of people who I've seen wrestle live who just were a better live experience than New Jack. You know, he's either at the top or near the top. So, yeah, that's New Jack.
That's New Jack. Yeah, as far as like, you know, going back and watching New Jack stuff, I mean, you just kind of go and find stuff. You know what I mean? There's not really like, you go on a cage match, you're not going to get a whole list of, you know, high-rated cage match stuff. It's just New Jack, man. Just, I don't know, type in New Jack and click around and see what you find. It's...
Yeah, he wrestled in Smokey. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, that was a whole different thing. Like, you know, and they would wrestle there. It was completely different when they got to ECW. And another story Lance Storm told is you know, Jericho, you know, they worked a program with them on a house show loop or whatever. And Jericho was excited about it because New Jack liked to work stiff and Jericho liked to work stiff. And, you know, that was a big opportunity to work stiff because all the other teams in Smokey, whether it was the Rock and Roll Express or Well Done, who were down there at the time or whoever, they all like to work that a very different, you know, that easy, what Lance Storm called that Memphis style, you know. And it was an opportunity. Jericho was very excited to work with New Jack and Mustafa because it was a chance to really lay it in, you know. And the way Lance described it was like, I was okay with it, but, you know, I'd much rather work with Well Done. If you're asking me who I'd rather, you know, work with, you know, I'll hit you back, but, you know, I'd much rather work with the other guys. But yeah, so he, you know, and that's part of it too. He would lay it in so that he knew that was part of his aura too. So the Smoky Mountain stuff's a little different than the ECW stuff for sure. The ECW, I don't know if New Jack and Mustafa ever made a legal tag in their entire run.
Nah, yeah, probably
I'd
not.
have to go back
Mustafa wasn't holding the tag rope very often to
right, begging for the hot tag,
right,
yeah, and coming in and cleaning house like a house of fire.
Jack, is the crowd, you know, hoping that he gets to the corner to, you know, Mustafa's in. He's a ball of fire. Here we go. Like,
yeah, there was none of that.
No,
but
I don't. Did he even bounce off the ropes ever in ECW? You know what I mean? Like did
he run the ropes? I doubt it. I mean,
I'm trying to think of a time where he actually, other than to like get more momentum on like a fucking guitar shot or something. I can't imagine he ever, you know,
the guitars and the crutches. He'd kill people with the crutches, and then he'd always have the implements to cut you open too.
Yeah,
you know, and just the stop signs and the trash bag full of gimmicks and.
Back when that was novel too, because then if you remember, you know, WWF when they had their hardcore division, like the later years of the hardcore division, that was basically just Al Snow and Steve Blackman and Hardcore Holly just walking down with a shopping cart full of you know, gimmicks, or the trash can full of gimmicks, and like it always kind of sucked because I was like, oh man, like that used to be that's what made New Jack, you know, this guy that felt like he wasn't even a pro wrestler would just walk down to the ring with a shopping cart or a garbage bin full of shit that he was going to hit you with, and it's just like. That was so cool, but then they did it on every Monday Night Raw and every SmackDown and every pay-per-view, and it just kind of lost its luster.
Me, every Sunday Night Heat, Raven would come out with the
I know, and it sucks because it's just like, oh man,
for a 6-minute match with Crash Holly or something, and it's just totally, you know, sanitized version of it, you know. But that all started with New Jack and just the pro. I mean, he really gets overlooked as one of the top promo guys. It's like we don't even. I'm guilty of it too. Like, why don't we bring up New Jack when we're talking about, you know, the greatest promos of all time and the greatest promos of that era? Because he absolutely was. I mean, He owned the crowd, and he knew how to get heat, and he could cut a babyface promo too. I mean, they weren't drastically different from his heel promos, but he cut a ton of babyface promos in ECW. And those heel promos from Smokey were legendary. They're legendary to this day. I mean, if you've never seen them, you got to go watch them all right now.
Yeah.
You know? So
the other thing too is what I always thought was really interesting about New Jack, and ECW was pretty good at doing this across the board for a lot of guys. But New Jack never needed to be in the title picture, never needed to be in main events, never needed to be competing for title. You know what I mean?
No.
He lived in his own world, and it was fine. Like you were perfectly fine with him doing that thing, and they did that pretty well with RVD for a long time as well, where he was in his own little world, and that's always something I really, really liked about ECW, is that these guys there were a lot of guys that just felt like they were in their little realm, and that was fine. Like you didn't want New Jack challenging Shane Douglas for the ECW world title. You didn't need it. It didn't matter. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you just wanted New Jack to go out there and do his thing, and that was pretty cool, that he was one of those stars, one of the guys synonymous with ECW, and did he ever get an ECW? Did he ever get a title shot? Ever? Did he ever have a title? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he probably
had, I don't know. Like,
I don't recall one, but I wouldn't bet against him having a title shot at some point, especially in those later years. They were the tag team champions when they came in.
Of course, yeah.
You know, but you're talking about like a world title shot, like as a singles wrestler,
right? I don't think he ever. I'm gonna look it up right now. Yeah.
It would be in the purple logo era, if so.
Yeah, it looks like so. Okay, November to Remember, he had one. Oh, I was there. I should remember this one against Rhino.
Unbelievable.
He got that in 2000.
You were there and you don't remember.
Well, come on, it was 7. That was it. Okay, so that's so he had a it was a TV title. Sorry, a TV title match against Rhino in 2000. He never, as far as I can tell, never once had an ECW World Heavyweight title shot. A lot of tag team title shots, obviously, and titles. And then, one World Heavyweight title at an ECW TV taping in late 1999 against Mike Awesome. He lost. So that's it.
There you go. Late era, like I said.
Yeah. So September of 1999, after being there for, how many years at that point, he finally gets a shot and he loses in 6 minutes. And it probably didn't matter at all.
They came in 95. So he was there a long time. I mean, they came in like probably the summer of 95, right as Public Enemy were kind of on their way out, because Public Enemy left in 96. So obviously the natural feud that Heyman wanted to do was Public Enemy and the Gangstas. So they came in and immediately feuded with them. I remember they had matches right off the bat in the ECW arena against Public Enemy, but then Public Enemy left for WCW, and then 96 they moved into the feud with the Eliminators and they went babyface. They came in as heels, and then they were baby faces against the Eliminators, and then that feud carried really probably through all of 96.
Yeah, I think it went pretty late until, I know, if I remember correctly, that Saturn, when he went to WCW, Kronos teamed with New Jack for a little bit.
Yes.
And that was like mid 1997, yeah.
That wouldn't have been in 96.
No, that was like late 1997, because Saturn left in, I forget, middle of 97 or something like that.
Probably around that time. Yeah, probably around that time. And that was because they split New Jack and Mustafa too at one point, but I don't know if that came later. But anyway, yeah, so he was a babyface for most of the run. I mean, he teamed with Cronus and they were the Gangstinators. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And then they may have won the tag team titles.
They did. Yeah, they did. They did for sure.
Yeah. So, and Cronus, of course, is dead. So.
Oh right, yeah, I always forget.
He died many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Saturn, who knows?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, they're. Yeah, who knows what the hell
Dead
Saturn
could be alive. But yeah. Mustafa Saeed, I mean, he was a job guy. He did jobs on WCW TV.
Yeah, you can go back and watch. Go watch 605s on the network or Peacock or whatever, and you might stumble into like a 1988 Mustafa Jobber match. You're like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I did, I was like, what? No way. Can't be the same guy. And I'm like, holy shit, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great look, just not a good wrestler. So it was perfect.
Yeah. You just watched that New Jack Mustafa match. What year was that?
99, I believe.
This is later. Yeah. So Mustafa would come and go. That's why he teamed with Cronus. there for a while. But yeah, Jack was there basically from 95 till the end. I mean, right up to the end, basically. I don't know if he worked he worked through 2000. It was the last show, January 2001, I think.
Yeah.
So he was there till the end. But and then from there, just bouncing around the fucking indies and the short TNA stay, and people were afraid to hire him. He was almost too good. He was too good of a worker. Too much heat in Smoky Mountain, and so scary that people were afraid they couldn't control him and couldn't hire him.
Yeah.
So that kind of sums him up.
It's crazy. So that is New Jack. Obviously, as I said, for recommendations, just, I don't know, type in New Jack on YouTube and see where it takes you, I guess is probably the best way. Or go on to Peacock and the network, but it's not going to be quite the same, unfortunately, without the Natural Born Killers playing there. But also another death that we found out about this weekend, Don Kernodle. We don't know what we know. He was, what did I say? 71. Yeah, 71. I know very little about him, and I imagine you probably do as well. I mean, the only reason I really know of him is the match, where he teams with Sergeant Slaughter against Jay Youngblood and Ricky Steamboat, kind of one of the all-time great, early matches in history. One of those kind of matches that you stumble upon when you're looking up, Dave Meltzer 5-star matches, or, match of the years of years past or whatever. And you see this Kernodle and Slaughter versus Youngblood and Steamboat, and you watch it, and it's a steel cage match, and it's 1983. And obviously it's different. It's unique, but it's a whole lot of fun. It's a really, really fun match. That's about all I know of Don Kernodle, though. I mean, I obviously did stuff with NWA for years and years and years and years. I think his late career stuff, I think he was pretty much done by the mid-'80s, right?
There's no late career stuff.
It was he did, Mid-Atlantic, and then he was kind of just done, right?
Yeah, he was a Mid-Atlantic guy for a long time, and really, Georgia too. Didn't really get pushed a ton. And then he was also one of Sergeant Slaughter's privates, Private Don Kernodle. And then you also had Private Jim Nelson around that time. He would end up becoming Boris Zukov. And that's how, and then he teamed with Slaughter and had the famous feud with Steamboat and Youngblood. And the match you're referencing is a match that everybody should go back and watch. I mean, that's a must-see match if you're a serious pro wrestling fan.
Let me make sure it's still available. It was very readily available last I looked for it, but let me make sure, yeah.
But yeah, so that was 83, and then that match was in 83, and that was really the peak of his push, and that feud drew a shit ton of money, because if you remember, Mid-Atlantic was really a tag team territory for a very long time. And then Slaughter left for WWF in 83, and Kernodle went with him. I mean, that's the thing. Kernodle went with him, but they didn't push him. He was doing TV jobs while Slaughter was getting this mega push.
Yeah, right.
So Kernodle went back to Mid-Atlantic, okay, for by 84. But then the book went from Dory to Dusty, and when the book changed over, Mid-Atlantic completely changed. It stopped being, it was no longer a tag team territory like it had been for decades, and Dusty had his whole crew, and he pushed different people. The booker changed. And Kernodle really, he was around during that 85, 86 era that everybody goes back and watches or whatnot, but he really wasn't a pushed commodity at that point. He was around, though. He feuded with Ivan Koloff a little bit, and he did some undercard stuff, but he never got another push on the level that he got when he was teaming with Slaughter in 83. And then really by 85 or 86, he was done.
Yeah, there's not much. I mean, you look at his cage match, and pretty much from 86 until recent history, in 2014 and stuff, he's doing reunion shows and stuff like that. But yeah, there's 20, 30 year gap where he's just not there. He's just gone. He's checked out. And I think he became a policeman, I believe. I think he was
during the meat of Dusty's booking reign. Kernodle basically became a prelim guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You'd see him on TV sometimes. He would beat jobbers, but he would never beat anyone who was pushed. So he, at least off of my recollection, and he never got to the level of your Magnum TAs or your Dusties or your Ron Garvins or anybody like that. And he had a long-standing feud with Ivan Koloff. They had teamed for a little bit, and then then they feuded. Then they introduced Rocky Kernodle, who was supposed to be his brother. Ah, shit. Who was Rocky Kernodle? He was Keith Larson, I think. Can you do you have his page up?
Yeah, Keith Larson. You're correct.
So they introduced Rocky Kernodle, who was actually Keith Larson, who was just a guy looking for a break and a push. One of those guys from the Georgia area. I'm sure he was one of those Ole Anderson trainees or something. He didn't last much longer than Kernodle did either. I think Keith Larson / Rocky Kernodle was done by the same 85, 86, 87-ish. And Keith Larson worked a lot of those weird indie offshoots in the Carolinas too, I think, into maybe the late 80s, early 90s. But that's neither here nor there. But Kernodle's push was basically done when he came back from WWF. He was really just a prelim guy. I mean, he's around through probably about 86, but I don't think he made it into 87, 88, and definitely not into the 89, 90 when they sold. So
yeah, his last televised wrestling match was Starrcade 86. Nelson Royal and Tim Horner defeat Don Kernodle and Rocky Kernodle.
Now, see, that's like probably an opener or a prelim.
Yeah.
Nelson Royal and guys like that.
Right.
That was his level.
Yeah, and they lost. They lost that match too, to put it in context. So
yeah, and Royal and Horner were junior heavyweights, and junior heavyweights didn't get pushed at all. I mean, the NWA junior heavyweight title was always like an opener on those shows, and that was Nelson Royal's lane. Guys like him. So yeah, Dusty just didn't push Don Kernodle. I mean, he just didn't see him as he just wasn't one of his guys. I mean, he got pushed harder. I mean, he didn't really get pushed before 83 either.
No, it was that one moment, that one kind of thing that just kind of got bubbled up perfectly. Yeah, it just everything kind of came together for that match. And it's somewhat available. You might have to do a little bit of digging, a little bit of work, but you can find it. It's from the Mid-Atlantic NWA. The Final Conflict is the match here. Jay Youngblood and Ricky Steamboat versus Kernodle and Sergeant Slaughter. Definitely
turn away crowd. It drew a fucking $1 billion.
Yeah, won a bunch of awards. I forget. I think it was the Observer Match of the Year, the PWI Match of the Year, all that sort of stuff. So definitely, yeah, if you're listening to this and you consider yourself a pretty serious wrestling fan, a match that you should definitely check out. It's not going to maybe blow your doors off, especially with it being 1983, but understand the context of the time and it's still pretty damn good. I will say that. It's shocking how good Sergeant Slaughter is in that match. I remember that. We talked about it we may have gave it to each other during our Joe and Rich review random wrestling matches or something like that as well. But I remember coming away just being so impressed by Sergeant Slaughter. Or no, you know what? I watched it a few years ago when I was trying to decide whether I wanted to vote Slaughter in the Hall of Fame. And most people think of Sergeant Slaughter as, Iraqi sympathizer, 1991 Slaughter, or, whatever. And you see him here and he's like slender and he's just bouncing all over the place and throwing drop kicks and bouncing all over. And you're like, holy shit, okay, this guy could work before. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I knew he teamed with Ivan Koloff when he came back. I looked it up. He actually did win the NWA World Tag Team titles with Ivan Koloff in 84. Okay. So in 84, he was still getting a bit of a push. But then once they split and they had their little feud, then that was it. Because 85 and 86, he really didn't get pushed at that level anymore at all. So, he feuded with Ivan, once then Ivan brought in Nikita and you had the Russians, and Kernodle would do a lot of the jobs either with Rocky Kernodle or with other partners against the Russians on a lot of the house shows and things like that. But yeah, I don't know what he did after that. I guess he got out of wrestling.
Yeah, he did law enforcement, I believe. I did see a post that, the whatever department he was in was wishing, their best wishes to, that he passed away or whatever. So,
well, the story of his death is fucking morbid as hell.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's horrible. If you listen to the Observer Radio and didn't know, it hits you pretty quickly what happened. But he unfortunately passed away from suicide. So
he went to the doctor, didn't like what he heard, presumably, because then he went home and shot himself when he got home from the doctor. So it seems like he got bad news from the doctor and said, well, fuck this, I'm checking out. Which is just terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
So 71 years old, I guess he figured I lived enough life, and whatever this doctor told me, I'm not looking forward to that. Yeah. So that's going to be that. But that's Don Kernodle.
There you go. That is New Jack. That is Don Kernodle. So get to our other topics here on the show. But before we do that, we do have to let you know this episode of the Voice of Wrestling Flagship Podcast is sponsored by our friends at MyBookie, and this is a great time to get into MyBookie. You got baseball and basketball. The seasons are long, up to 400 potential matches a month between baseball and basketball, and you can make each and every one of them matter by having skin in the game with MyBookie.ag. Whether you're just placing a wager on your favorite team, your player, or just looking for kicks, Joe, MyBookie gives you the best odds and tons of options to make all your favorite sports a hell of a lot more exciting. You can bet. Right now is a great time to get involved as well. You have baseball betting, which is obviously always, going to be there for quite a few more months. Right now, you're in the midst of the basketball playoffs, the basketball postseason, play-in games you can put some bets on. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to give any actual betting advice because I am not a bettor, but I would say this is a very fun season to bet on the basketball playoffs. I mean, obviously you have the play-in game, a lot of one-game playoffs and all that sort of stuff, which is really, really cool. But the parity in this year's NBA is pretty wild. So in some years, you could pretty much lock it in and say, whatever, this team's going to win here and this team's going to win this series. I think there's a lot you could do here. I think there's a lot of teams that could potentially win the entire thing. I think there's a lot of teams that could win their conference. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to surprise people, maybe win series that you don't think of. So it is a great time. This is a great year to bet basketball. Things are very weird. We're still kind of in pseudo, they're in pseudo arenas with not all the way full. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can happen. So basketball is a great time to bet as well. And you can take advantage of the odds for those playing games, for the playoffs, for the NBA postseason, or hit up the MyBookie casino. You can get a full-fledged experience where weekly blackjack tournaments, Joe. I know we always talk about MyBookie in terms of a sports reference, but they have a casino as well. You can do weekly blackjack tournaments that give you and your friends a crack at prize pools up to $50,000. $50,000 playing blackjack every single week. Not a bad idea. All right, so you go to mybookie.ag, you sign up now. Use the promo code VOICES, all right? So you're going to go to mybookie.ag, sign up now, and use that promo code VOICES to get your first deposit matched up to $1,000. You need to let them know that we sent you there, so use that promo code VOICES to get the free deposit bonus and start your day off with a win. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie, mybookie.ag. There you go. You put any skin in these basketball games? I know you were watching last night, so.
Nah, I didn't.
Basketball's tough, but I will say this year I think is going to be an interesting year to bet basketball. I would not usually bet basketball, but I'm interested this year in a little bit, dabbling a little bit in it. So
I was looking at some series odds, but I didn't put anything down. No
I
heavy
put
lumber.
beginning of the year I got Nuggets going to the Western Conference Finals, so I gotta make a pretty penny if the Nuggets get there. So
Wait, they just have to get to the Western.
They have to get
Finals?
to the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, that was my bet. Or they have to actually maybe they have to get to the NBA Finals. I forget, but that's fine. I'm good with either of those.
So it's a win the Western Conference.
I think that's the case.
You don't even know what your bet is.
Well, I did it many years. I did it earlier in the year. Who the hell knows anymore?
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to that one. My Luka Doncic MVP one did not. I don't think that one's gonna. I don't think that one's gonna work, Joe. I don't think he's winning this MVP. So
you picked the wrong awkward moving 16.
I know. I did. I love Jokic.
Basketball.
Yeah, I love Jokic too. So I should have just done that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So. It's all right. You got baseball.
Rich,
I got a bunch of other stuff. So
I have the results of. We have breaking news.
Yes, go ahead.
I have the results of the round 1 of the MLW draft.
Oh wow. Okay, go ahead.
You ready?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I said promo code VOICES earlier. It's actually promo code VOW. Sorry. Do you want me to do the reading all over again? Well, we got a lot of ads here. We're a popular podcast. I get it. MyBookie.ag, promo code VOW. Promo code VOW to get that. You know what? Try both. Maybe both will work. I don't know. There's a good chance both would work. So
definitely don't try both. Do VOW.
I guess. I don't know. Voices might work
someone else
too.
has the other code.
You're right. Yeah, fuck those guys. MyBookie.ag, promo code VOW. Get that deposit bonus up to $1,000. Okay, go ahead. MLW draft. Yeah.
They're not going to hear the ad read anyway. They don't know what's going on. So speaking of pulling back the curtain, MLW draft round 1 is complete. Davey Richards has been drafted.
Look
into
at
MLW.
that.
There you go. That's the whole draft, by the way. That's the whole round 1.
Now, was there a player pool? Like, does he know about this, or what's going on here? You know,
I don't know. I feel like it's just.
Is this like
day.
Those old school, like, cause MLB draft would, and it'd be 900 rounds or whatever, like, Carl Lewis would get drafted, or the NBA draft, it would be like, 1,800 rounds, and like Carl Lewis would get drafted, and a bunch of guys that were like, no, I'm not going to play in the NBA, get out of here.
Publicity stunts.
Yeah, right.
No, this is not even a draft. They're calling it a draft. I think it's just a YouTube video every day with a new roster guy announced. But allegedly, it's the board of fucking bookers or whatever they're calling it. It's El Jefe from Lucha Underground and the Dragon Gate guy and the dude from Rev Pro, Andy Quilden, and ML. And like allegedly, they're all drafting guys
They're
into
all
the
sitting
company.
at the war room deciding,
Right.
oh man, do I get Mil Mortis or not?
But it's like you don't get them like the company gets them. I don't know. They're just calling it a draft, but it's really not a draft. Anyway, Davey Richards is the first guy. So there you go.
Davey Richards. MLW. That's a spot that we predicted. That's a great landing spot for one Davey Richards. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, Court is the problematic wrestler whisperer.
Yeah.
If If anyone could get Davey on the straight path, then it's got to be Court somehow. He does it with Low Key. He does it with all these guys.
I saw an event. I went there live to that one LW show in Chicago, and we went there early. They let us in early. I saw Corp Hour, Teddy Hart, and Low Key talking to each other. And then I saw Low Key and Teddy Hart instructing young wrestlers, like, all right, guys, get in the ring. Like, let's try some stuff out. Let's, clean this thing up, get this. And I was just like, oh my God, they're like the most professional people you've ever seen in your life.
Incredible.
Like, Low Key's like, come on, guys, pick up this paper. Come on, guys, pick up the paper. We got, there was like cups all over the place. He's like,
you got to do it proper.
Yeah, he's like, God damn, we have people coming in a few minutes. Pick up these papers. Come on, let's go. He's like telling these kids to like clean up after themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Key. It's just like, oh my God.
Key.
Like,
Mr. Key.
And then like anywhere else he goes, it's like, he's fucking kicked out, kicking and screaming, and he's never going to work there ever again. And here he's, got a polo shirt on. He's telling guys to, clean up the arena.
Great.
It was incredible. Corp Hour.
So good spot for Davey. Yeah, they announced some names for the arena show too, but just guys that are already on the roster.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Satoshi Kojima coming to TNA.
I saw that. Yeah, Impact Wrestling. Satoshi Kojima. TNA is dead, Joe. Impact
Did
Wrestling.
I say TNA?
You did say TNA.
Wow. Well, I still say San Diego Chargers. So
Well, that's fair. I'm never going to call them the Los Angeles Chargers. That's stupid.
I say San Diego every time I say the name of the Chargers.
It's going to be probably 2035 before you call them the Las Vegas Raiders, right?
Yeah, I fucked that one.
You probably still call them the Los Angeles Raiders, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like,
Anaheim Angels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just the first instinct. But yeah, Satoshi Kojima. I don't know what he's gonna do. And I guess
he's gonna throw some fucking lariats. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna take some heads off. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, always.
What's he gonna do? Take some fucking heads off.
I guess Mike Johnson made it official too. Don Callis no longer in Power.
Yeah, interesting little wrinkle there. We do not know anything else. I'm very curious. I mean, that might be a topic for next week as we kind of find out and learn a little bit more about the Callis thing. But yeah, there was little rumblings this weekend that he was out as far as power structure of Impact. And yeah, that's pretty big. I
think it's pretty simple what's going on. He wants to go to fucking AEW.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to be there full time.
Are you saying Don Callis parlayed this relationship into getting him a better gig?
I mean, of course.
What?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Excuse me?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Rich. I mean, why would he want to remain in Impact when he can, he's now got it in. I mean, as long as Kenny's there, Kenny's going to want him around. And to be honest, he's doing a great job. I mean, he cuts great promos. He has added to the act. Why would you not want Don Callis on screen if you're AEW? Right? I mean,
yeah. As a manager, just a barker, yeah, he's incredible.
He's awesome. So I mean, that's obviously his play here. So he's just an on-screen character at this point for Impact until I guess that storyline plays itself out, and then he'll just presumably be part of AEW. And I'm sure he'll try to work his way into some kind of office position. So that's what's going on with that. What else we got?
It's fun because Callis for so many years, and that was always the thing, is like people didn't know where Don Callis was. He was out of wrestling. He was out of the game. You know what I mean? After doing so much and bouncing around in the '90s and being Cyrus the Virus and the Jackal and stuff, and then he just went away. He like went to college and got like an office job and just worked normal jobs or whatever. And then I think he did the podcast with Storm. Him and Storm did those podcasts for a little bit, and then he kind of dabbled in with New Japan, and then he's in again. You know what I mean? Now he's just as carny as they come. Just bouncing between positions, leverage, just working. I love it. You can try to get out of it, but yeah, it's once you get back in, it pulls you right back in, baby. You're a worker till the end of the time. So
yeah, I mean he can talk. I mean, he was a good announcer for New Japan. He's
great. Yeah.
He was a good color guy. With Kevin Kelly's the play-by-play and Don Callis is the color guy. That was a good team. So parlayed that into the gig with Impact, and now this. So that's obviously his next move, and we see where that goes.
All right, so other news to get to. This one we'll try to unpack here. There's a lot of things to unpack, a lot of news and notes, but this one came as a pretty big shock this afternoon or this morning. It was announced from New Japan Pro Wrestling that Will Ospreay was vacating the IWGP World Heavyweight title and that he will miss significant time with a neck injury. He will not be participating in the next series of events and will return to the United Kingdom for rehab. New Japan's plan, they're obviously going to come back on May 22nd, but they will not have an IWGP World Heavyweight champion that is vacated right now. We have no idea what they're going to do for that. We have no idea what, if G1's going to determine the champion, if they're going to do a little mini tournament, if they're just going to we have no clue right now. We'll probably find that out pretty shortly, but as of right now, as of this recording, Will Ospreay has vacated the title. He is going to miss time, and the report is that it is a neck injury. But Joe, what do we know about this Will Ospreay situation here? I mean, we 100% know that he vacated the title. At the end of the day, that we do know, that is 100% truth. The rest of the stuff, wrestling's wrestling, Joe. It's a very interesting day on the DMs today with wrestling. When I said wrestling, the part that I love about wrestling is how scummy and sleazy and weird, and it's all a bunch of professional liars lying to one another, and you just got to figure out who's telling the truth at some point, and it is very, very difficult to find out who is telling the truth. So yeah, what do we know about this Will thing, and what do we want to talk about here? I guess I should say with that as well. So,
we'll see how much of this survives the on-demand version of this show, but I guess the live listeners, we'll see how. I don't even know how to approach this. Okay, here's what we know for certain. We can say with absolute certainty that there are wrestlers, Japanese wrestlers in New Japan, who believe Will Ospreay has an injured neck and is going to be out for the remainder of the year and is going to back home to the UK to rehab his injured neck. Is that fair to say? There are Japanese wrestlers who believe that.
Yes, that is. Yeah, this is us relaying what we know, but yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What we know.
There are Japanese wrestlers who believe and are telling people that Will Ospreay has an injured neck and they think he's going to be out definitely through the G1, maybe through the whole year. This is what the Japanese wrestlers are telling people. There is a cloud of doubt around some of that. There are a lot of things allegedly happening in New Japan. And honestly, this is all coming together so fast, and we're getting told so many different things from credible people, not telephone game, dark Twitter shit.
Yeah, and that's I kind of pulling the curtain back a little bit just to let you know what we had a lot of reports from earlier in the day that kind of co-signed what New Japan said and the neck injury and all that sort of stuff, and we were ready to start the show with that, going with that. That was a reliable source that told us it fit with what other people were saying about Will, what was being reported with Will, and we're like, all right, there we go. Literally, I don't know, 10 minutes before we start recording, we get a nuke just dropped on us that says everything you know about the Will situation is wrong and it's not the truth. And it's like, oh dear God, okay. And it was a source that at least I think we had to at least double check on it, and then we went to a person that we do trust a little bit more, and they kind of confirmed that there was smoke to that fire, or that this nuke, was a thing. So now it's like, dude, we have reliable sources playing tug of war. One says this, the other says this, and we're here in the middle going, I don't know. They're both pretty accurate a lot of times. And I don't even know. Everyone's working everybody. I don't know. It's wrestling, man. Who fucking knows?
I don't know. There's something going on. There are people convinced that he's not injured. And again, not dark Twitter telephone game shit. Like, there's real people in the business who are convinced he's not injured. But wrestling's so weird because, people inside wrestling are predisposed to think that everything is a work. I can't say this on air, but Rich, you are privy to a situation just earlier this week where it's like, no, I know the reality. I know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. It's like, I know. Don't argue with me. Like, I know. But people inside wrestling they're just predisposed to everything is a work because everyone's always working.
Right.
So it could be a situation where I don't think these Japanese wrestlers think that are in on any kind of work. They think the guy is hurt because that's what they've been told. Right.
The company maybe sent an email or whatever.
Yeah.
We're not saying that they're, they're the people that I think are probably lying the least. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times a lot of people think that wrestlers are just sitting back and conniving. Oh, what we're going to do is ha ha ha. A lot of times they hear something and they go, okay, all right. The company says, hey, here's the situation. They go, okay. And that's their line. And that's what they know, or especially in Japan, where you do have that relationship between, Japanese wrestlers and foreign wrestlers and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I trust that the Japanese wrestlers in New Japan Pro Wrestling, they know what they know, which is probably what New Japan told them, and they're, have no reason to believe that that's a lie or whatever, whether it is or not. Like that's yeah. So I trust that they're not like sitting there going, ah ha ha, I'm going to work these guys. Like, I don't think that's it at all. I think they know what they know and they relay what they know. So
look, here's the only thing we could say, and here's how I'm going to approach this. Reddit is going to make a thread tomorrow and say that we're starting fake rumors and everything. I don't care what Reddit does. Okay. The bottom line is there's stuff going on there, and I don't even know how to phrase it, because I don't want to report what at this point are unverified rumors. I don't want to do that, because this is the thing we run into all the time, where we're too big to be small and too small to be big. And if we say what we've heard, it's going to be on Reddit tomorrow, and people are going to say that we're doing the clickbait thing and all this and that. And I know our listeners know better, and I shouldn't really concern myself with that stuff. You know what I mean? Because I really should only be worried about our listeners and our audience, and they know our credibility, and they know that we don't make things up just to grab attention or whatever, get a couple extra downloads. But there's seemingly a ton of drama going on in that company right now. Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah, I think that's what we can definitely
and whether or not the Will Ospreay injury is tied into that or not is the question.
Right, we weren't given specifics. Yeah, I think so, because I kind of said, hey, is this Will thing related to this thing? And the thing that I got back was, kind of. And it's like, okay, all right. So it's like, I don't know if it's 1-1. I don't know if it's 1-1 that it is. The thing, there's it's a lot of weirdness going on, and I don't know if it's completely just just happens to come at the same time, or if one relates to the other. We have no idea right now. As of right now, we have no clue. We're hearing a bunch of stuff, and how it relates, we're trying to figure that out right now. We're trying to put that puzzle together. And I don't know if it's going to go anywhere today. You know what I mean? I think that's
I don't know if the Will Ospreay injury being legit or not is tied into. There's massive. There seems to be a lot of drama in the company right now, and Will Ospreay may or not be a part of that, but there are definitely wrestlers in the company who believe that he's injured, and there are definitely people in the business who do not believe he's injured.
Yep.
I think that's the best way to put it.
That's the best way to put it, yeah.
There are definitely people within the business who do not believe he's injured and have good reason to believe he's not injured and are pretty convinced that he isn't injured.
Yeah, because when we pushed back about that, it was like, no, I'm telling you that's not the case. And it's like, all right. I mean, there was a lot of conviction in what we were told, that was the opposite. So what about, no, I'm telling you it's happening. So yeah, that's what's definitely weird, because earlier in the day it was, here's definitely the injury, and here's definitely when it happened, and yada, yada, yada. And then on the other side, it's another person telling us very vividly, no, everything you're hearing is a lie, and I'm telling you that's a lie. So it's like, all right, I don't know. I don't know
either. Yeah, that's the thing. Rich and I don't know.
Both these people have a lot of conviction and no reason really to lie about it, so I don't know. We're in a classic pro wrestling conundrum right now of I don't know. I have no clue. Two very reliable, 2 or 3 very reliable people are all pulling in different directions, and that makes it very, very difficult.
A lot of different people saying opposite things. I mean, who's more reliable than people in the locker room? But at the same time, who knows if they're being worked? And who knows if they aren't just, they're getting the same public story we're getting. It's like Rich says, it's not like they all sit down and have meetings every day and discuss all these sorts of things.
Especially now during the the era of COVID, especially in this week, with New Japan, it's just probably like, these guys don't. Hey, when are we coming to work again? All right, this day, okay. It's not like they're in there, on the bus, things can pass around the bus, and yeah, then I would maybe assume that there'd be some sort of work or potential. But no, it's like these guys are just at home, waiting to get their call back. So
it's weird that the injury seemingly came out of nowhere. That part's weird.
Mhm.
But at the same time, the day of the match, Dave Meltzer did report, and he talked to Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay told him that he hurt himself on a flying move, which we later found out was a shooting star press. So it's not like the injury came completely out of left field. He said he got knocked loopy by the shooting star press. Then we didn't hear anything for a long time, and everything was just moving along as usual, waiting around for the COVID stuff to clear up so they could run shows again. And then this kind of comes out of nowhere where he's injured to the point where he can't wrestle and he's got to vacate the title and go back to England.
Right, and that is possible. Like that's the other thing too.
Possible,
yeah, like it's weird, but it's 100% possible that a guy could say, "Yeah, my fucking neck hurts, but it's all right. It's whatever. It's these guys bump for a living. You know what I mean? These guys are all in tremendous pain every single day they wake up. But maybe, he got it checked out and the doctor came back and said, "Oh boy, you like X, you have X." Like, I don't know if you know, but these are wrestlers. They live in pain. They had no idea.
We just saw that with Ricky Starks.
Right, exactly.
He got hurt against Hangman Page and just thought he had discomfort. And then a couple weeks later when he gets checked out, "Oh, you have a fractured neck." So it's plausible that this did just sneak up and become a thing. That's entirely plausible.
Absolutely.
I don't know what is going on. I mean, it's you're getting told two different things. So there's a lot of weirdness going on right now in the company. Allegedly, a lot of people are upset. And, to the point it's like close to a mutiny. So I don't know. Is the Will Ospreay thing part of that? Is it not part of that? One side says yes. I don't know, though. Yeah. It just all got thrown at us 10 minutes before we slapped record. So, and
it seems like we tried to kind of keep going, and everybody kind of slowed down on it. So it's fine. We had to record now. We can't really be doing that as well. But yeah, that's what we know right now is we don't know anything. I guess is our official stance is we thought we knew, and then we don't know, and now I don't know.
It could be way more than meets the eye to it.
Right.
So.
It could be just a little bit of the iceberg coming up pretty soon. So who knows? Who fucking knows right now? But all we know is that Will is not the champion anymore. There is no IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, and that's what we know for sure. And
we could discuss that because that is huge. That's a huge loss for New Japan.
Yeah. Oh, huge. Yeah.
I mean, he was carrying that company on his back. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, we've been on here saying it. You take the Empire away, and New Japan has nothing going on. I mean, they barely have anything going on as it is. The Empire and Will Ospreay specifically were the only interesting things happening in that company. He just had this match of the year match with Shingo. And was in the midst of what looked like was going to be a very good title run, was in the midst of what looked like was going to be a Wrestler of the Year caliber year. So this is a huge loss for New Japan. They feel completely rudderless at this point. No one has any idea what direction they're going to go to fill this title. They've got Hiromu out with an injury. They've got Will Ospreay out with either an injury or some kind of other weirdness that's going on. They have a very limited roster to begin with because of COVID travel restrictions. They have at least 7 people on the roster, maybe as many as 9, who have tested positive for COVID since they last run a show. And they were already super thin. And, I mean, you just look at those last 2, those Dontaku shows. What would they have been without that Ospreay Shingo match? I mean, just junk. Just all junk. So it's like this is a huge, devastating loss for the company. I don't know what they do. It's they have to slap together some last minute plans. It seems like the plan was for Will Ospreay to lose to Okada in the Dome. My personal belief is that Tetsuya Naito would then win the G1. They do Okada Naito again. They run that back at Wrestle Kingdom because that's still the biggest match they have. I think Okada gets his win back there and beats Naito to retain. And then I feel like the long-term plan would have been for Ospreay to then beat Okada to get his title back. And then somewhere down the line, pull the trigger on Shingo beating Will Ospreay for the belt. To me, that I feel like was the long-term 1.5, 2-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you just look at Gato's booking patterns, that's how he books things. Will Ospreay keeps beating Shingo. Well, Shingo's going to beat Will Ospreay at some point, probably for that title. This was the beginning. This is the very beginning of Shingo's main event push. He'll disappear down the card for a little while, and then when Will Ospreay gets the title back, then Shingo beat. Like, this is the setup for that. This is how they book. And I feel like everyone could see Okada and Naito coming at the Dome. Like, that's a pretty easy one to figure, and Okada would win that. Sure. And Okada's the person who Will Ospreay would naturally win the title back from, because Okada's the one who took it from him. If you've studied Gato's booking, that all seems to make sense to me. But they keep having wrenches thrown in the plan. This is the second COVID shutdown they're in the midst of. Now they have to strip this guy of the title because he's injured or he's not injured or whatever the fuck is going on with him. Okay? So now you have to figure out another contingency plan. Okay, how do we get
no matter what the scenario is, not to interrupt you, no matter what the scenario is, it's not good. He's either injured, and that's terrible if he's injured, is seriously injured with a neck, or there's some heat, or he walked out, or he got, you know what I mean? There's some drama, and that's not good. Like, short of a family emergency, that's not good. And I don't think they stripped this guy for a family emergency. You know what I mean? So there's something. No,
there'd be no cloud of secrecy.
Right. There's a weird cloud of secrecy no matter what the situation is, whether it's an injury or this, and neither scenario is good. So yeah.
Both are bad.
The only conclusion is it's bad.
Yeah. And, they've just had a rough go ever since they came back from COVID the first time, with just weird shit. I mean, everyone seems to be lukewarm on the title merge deal, and Ibushi's title reign wasn't very good, and now all of their plans are thrown off again. This is a big blow to me personally in my interest in the company. I mean, the only thing holding my interest in the company was Will Ospreay's championship title run, because I felt like it was going to be great, and it got off to a great start with both the title win and then the legendary match against Shingo, which is, to me, an all-time great world title match.
Well, and you've been saying it for a while, too. The only imagine this company without Will and without the Empire.
Now you don't have to imagine.
Yeah, open your eyes. Yeah, there we go.
I've said that a million times on this show. Like, he's carrying the company. And the match against Okada, I'm sure, was going to be another incredible match. Now, you remove him from the equation. I mean, what do? You've had Okada on ice. You've had Naito on ice. These guys are doing nothing. They haven't been heated up at all. I guess Okada to an extent, because Ospreay challenged him, right? But a lot of people thought that was weak because Okada didn't really do anything to earn it. Ospreay challenged him and called him out.
He just kind of walked out and said, all right.
I don't have a problem with, because call-outs to me are fine. It's good pro wrestling.
For sure.
But a lot of people don't like just the call-outs. They like a challenger to earn it, right? And in a lot of people's eyes, Okada hasn't earned it. Naito, just on ice. They're not doing anything with Tetsuya Naito. He got his win back against Okan on the last tour, and he's basically just been working tags. And Jay White, you talk about it every week. He's just in the mud doing nothing. I mean, the same old with Jay White. It's just the same fucking tired old shit. And, they put the fucking never title on him. So there's a lot of conjecture out there. Tanahashi to save the day, which sounds great on paper. The problem is if they belt up Tanahashi, everyone's going to know it's a Band-Aid, and it's going to look bad. Because we've all been taught as New Japan fans that we've moved on from Tanahashi. Like, we've been told that. He was never winning that title again. And if you go back to him, it's going to be a bad look, in my opinion. Because it feels like you're going back in time. And it would feel like a panic move. It'll feel like, oh, well, we have to do this because we're in complete disarray. And everything keeps falling apart and nothing's working. So let's just go back to Tanahashi. I mean, that just reeks of the kind of shit that Noah used to do. With Misawa.
Or is doing right now. Yeah.
Or that WWE, that's what that would reek of. And I like Tanahashi. I love Tanahashi. But that's such a backwards move at this point.
Yeah, that last reign that he had, and that one even felt like it was even a little bit. But that was fine. They told a really good story. The last reign that he had before he dropped it to Omega, that was a great conclusion to the Tanahashi as a title challenger thing. And yeah, given what they've done with him over the last 2 years, like you said, it would feel like they're just saying, we have nobody, we have to go back to old reliable, Tanahashi right now. And that's not good. You don't want that.
Yeah. So look, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't even have any feel for it. Do you just do some kind of decision match with Okada and whoever the fuck just to get to your original plan of getting it to Okada? And remember, that's just us presuming Okada was going to beat Ospreay.
Yeah,
now,
right.
If you follow Gato's booking patterns, it was, I think everyone would agree that Okada was probably winning that match.
Right, or if not, he was going to win the G1 and kind of work his way up through there. So I don't even know. I mean, if the plan wasn't even to beat Ospreay, they're really fucked. Because, at least if the plan was for Okada to win, you could fix that pretty easily. Right, it's Okada versus X, and X can be Okan or so. You know what I mean? Like, you could figure out something, whatever.
And then when Ospreay does come back, then his story, instead of I want the guy who keeps beating me, chase the guy his story then becomes I never lost the belt. That's an easy one. That one writes itself. Oh, I never got beat for this title.
Yeah.
Okada. It's really not even that. If the plan was to get it if the plan was for Okada to beat Ospreay, they're not that fucked in the sense that they can get the title to Okada pretty easily and keep the long-term Okada Ospreay story alive. The problem is if Ospreay doesn't come back, everything is thrown into complete disarray. But or is out for a super long period of time.
Right. If he's out till the end of the year or into next year, then it's just rip up all the pages. Yeah, rip all the pages up because it's over. So
so this was a company that already was perilously hanging on to the interest of fans in the West and whatnot due to poor booking, or whether you hate Will Ospreay, or whether for a myriad of reasons that we've talked about a million times. And now it just feels like a completely rudderless company. And I got to be honest, my interest level in it at this point is as close to zero as it's ever been.
It's pretty minimal. I mean, yeah, it's definitely minimal. And that's why I
check cards, because I'm just not interested. I mean, am I interested in watching Jay White have 35-minute never matches where, he's putting me to sleep?
Joe, I am not. I was going to say, I don't know if you are, but I am definitely not. So,
a world title scene, which has been a complete joke since they've come back from COVID the first time. With the evil stuff, which was, wasn't my cup of tea. I'll just leave it at that. We don't need to relitigate that. But at minimum, it wasn't my cup of tea with fucking Dick Togo every 20 seconds. And then, the Ibushi reign, which just didn't fucking work out because it just stunk with the combined title and all of that. And now this guy gets hurt one match into his title reign.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an absolute disaster. It's a disaster. And just it's questionable booking decisions, terrible undercards. The undercards are atrocious. The King of Darkness match, this King of Pro Wrestling, but they have nothing else to turn to. The ladder match, the fucking all the shit. The roster is fucking dilapidated. There's nothing to turn to. So I get it, but it doesn't mean it's good. It's just not an interesting company right now. The only interest level I have in the company is the fucking drama surrounding it, and what the fuck are they going to do with the 12 active wrestlers that they have? It's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, you look at some of these cards too, the upcoming cards this week, and it's just, I mean, they're fine, whatever, they're okay. They did the most they could, but yeah, it is like you said, it is just, it's decimated. The roster is absolutely decimated, and rudderless is a great term. It's just, they're I don't know. There's, like you said, the interest is going to be how do they steer the ship in the right direction? How do they kind of clean up all this mess? Both the mess that they maybe created themselves, the mess of COVID, the mess of all. I have no idea. And that, I guess, is the interest in it. And yeah, to me, I think the scenario that I would probably do, given, the time period that we have, is, I mean, maybe do the G1 for the title, but do they want to not have a title for that long? Or do they have somebody win it in the meantime, and then the G1, goes back to being for the spot? Or there's a lot of ways you can go with it, but I
don't even know the fucking schedule at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, with all the cancellations and everything else.
Well, it's hard to plan ahead. I mean, there's just no planning ahead right now in the company, and nor should you, because it's like you don't know what's down the pike. You don't know what's going to happen.
Can you half fill buildings with Jay White never matches on top in the meantime?
Yeah, probably.
Will he even be there? I mean,
that's another question. Yeah.
Everything's up, and I mean, it's just craziness, And it's like you can hold out until the G1, and then I think if you do the G1 for the title, that's a really cool idea. But the problem again is that throws off all your booking, because no matter whether it was Ospreay or Okada who was going to win in the Dome, obviously you have to rip up your previous plan for the G1 winner if you're using that to crown the champion.
Yeah.
So everything is just thrown off from there as well. So it's just all a big mess, and with the
Dave
COVID
kind of alluded to it
situation,
too. Sorry, you were talking about the COVID thing, and I was going to bring that up. Is that has also led to, and some by fault of New Japan, obviously, potentially, and some by just fault of nobody knows what the hell's going on with this COVID situation, especially in Japan. But Dave alluded to it a little bit, and I think there was some other reports. I think Fit Finley on some podcast came out and talked about the New Japan said, okay, the Gaijin wrestlers can go home or whatever, and they said, oh, no, sorry guys, we need you on May 22nd, and these guys are like, well, I can't go home and then also come back for the 22nd because I need to quarantine, and that there was miscommunication between the office and those wrestlers, and it's just it's all just, it's just a mess. It's just a giant mess. Both
there's a lot of unhappiness.
It's just nobody's,
there's a lot of unhappiness. So how that ties into the title and everything,
who knows?
I don't know, but I mean, because I don't want to get accused of reporting rumors, but what a fucking train wreck it all is, and I feel like take the conversation in a slightly different direction, and I want to pose a question to you. Is it fair to say that no company has been hurt more by COVID than New Japan?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it is unquestioned.
They're number one with a bullet.
Yeah, by
it's not even close.
not even nobody else even in the conversation, really, to me.
I mean, they've got holes to dig out of, and I mean, with their full complement of a roster, if COVID were magically cleared tomorrow and everybody in Japan was magically vaccinated and COVID just disappeared into the air and the globe went back to normal, do I think that New Japan with their roster and the way that they do things could get it back? I do. But I also think they have been decimated by COVID through both things that aren't their fault and just poor booking decisions and everything else more than any other company.
Yeah, they've kind of just like weirdly, and I mentioned maybe a month or so ago, they just like got weird. They just lost their minds a little bit. They had such they were in just such lockstep for so long, and I mean, you could date it back a little bit to the double dome thing that kind of threw things for a loop, and they got kind of weird about that, and we were on the show and we got a lot of criticism for saying, this thing, I don't know if I really like this, like I don't know if I really enjoy this double dome thing, but for whatever it was worth, it was for that one moment, it was for Naito to hold those titles. It's fine. Like I get it, I understand what the point of that was, but like COVID came and it just, I mean, they have just not been able to find any sort of momentum from there. And we've seen other companies, like we said, we talked about it last week, I think. It's companies that have excelled in COVID. AEW, I think, has done a tremendous job of, like you said, being the COVID MVP. There was All Japan Pro Wrestling, we said, has done really, really well and increased interest in some way, shape, or form. Noah, for a long time throughout 2020, really increased their interest and did some stuff. I think WWE has at least kind of figured it out. There was a long time where they were doing shows in the PC. They were doing shows in front of empty chairs. They've kind of figured out with the Thunderdome, and they were able to get things back on track. And a lot of companies have figured it out because it's like, we're a year and a half in. We're 2 years into this thing. Like, people get it. People kind of understood. They've seen what's worked. They've seen what hasn't worked. And through it all, like, yeah, New Japan's had some good matches and they've had some good stuff, but it's never got back on the tracks. You know what I mean? It has never felt like it's back. It never felt like it figured it out.
AEW, in the middle of COVID, just signed their second new television contract and continue to grow. This is the second time that they've ripped up that their network ripped up a previous deal to give them a better one.
Can we give you more money and more time on our networks? Yes,
right.
We can.
And this happened during COVID, so they've handled it. They've done fine. WWE had their record revenue year and record profit year during COVID. Noah's chugging along, doing just fine. Ring of Honor, they've had it pretty hard because they just completely shut down. They decided we're not going to run.
They smartly shut down, but then I don't think they quite realized how long it was going to be, and then realized, okay, wait, hold on, we can't But
the thing about that is they had the advantage of being owned by the biggest conglomerate that owns any pro wrestling company in the world.
Correct. Yeah.
So they were able to just completely shut down and say, let's play it safe and not even bother. And they could afford to pay all of their wrestlers through that while being shut down. And they're not getting any television money because they air on their own fucking station. So they're in a unique situation where they were able to shut down, where these other companies weren't able to shut down or they would cease to exist. There's been some other companies like Big Japan, I think, was hit real hard. They nearly folded.
Yeah, they're close. They're a contender because they almost died. You know what I mean? Like, but from the perch they were on, like the New Japan fall from COVID. If we were charting this out, put a graph there. If we had Brandon Thurston make a graph for us, the New Japan whatever rating you want to say, whatever it is, like they have certainly fallen more than any other company, and to me, it's not even close. How far
just the optics of everything. Yeah, I mean, it's just they've just the fact that they were running all of these shows just tells you that they're very desperate to bring in revenue. That's why they're running Korakuen 4 times a week and running all of these shows, even though they're only able to sell 200 tickets or whatever. And even if they only sell 150 tickets to the 4th Korakuen show of a week, where it's all tags, they need that revenue.
Right. They're just we were told the official company line is like, just the number of people. At the end of the year, they want X number of people, and it doesn't.
Yes.
If it takes 90 shows to do it, and 77 Korakuen shows, whatever, we just need X amount of people to come to our shows in this year.
Yeah.
So we don't care if there's 100 people that come to a Korakuen show, because then 100 more are going to come tomorrow. You know what I mean? And then 100 more are going to come the day after that, and yeah, it's
And I don't really blame New Japan for coming back and trying to exist. I mean, you don't want to go out of business. It's like, but it's been one either self-imposed bad decision after bad break after another. It's not their fault that Hiromu got hurt. It's not their fault if Will Ospreay got hurt. It's not their fault, that eventually their luck ran out and some of their guys caught COVID. Other companies have had guys that have. Every company in the world that's running has had people who have caught COVID. And it's not always public, but every company has publicly had guys. All Japan, Zeus had COVID. Dragon Gate has guys right now who had to pull out of King of Gate with COVID. So it's not unique to New Japan. I don't think it's fair to say, oh, well, all their guys are catching. WWE has had dozens of people. WWE has had people catch COVID twice. I mean, so, AEW has had people with COVID. Anyone running.
That's not, you can't put that mark on anybody.
Fault.
Yeah, that's.
But again, that's just another bad break they've had bad luck. They've made bad decisions. It's just, there's been some bad booking, and it's just the company that, to me, at least the optics of it, or that they have been, that they have handled. I don't know how to phrase it, but COVID has been the least kind.
Right, it's hit them the hardest of all. Yeah, it's hit them the hardest than any other company really in the.
And they were rolling before COVID. They're rolling before COVID. Naito.
Yeah, Swagger walked into Tokyo Dome and sold that shit out, for 2 straight nights.
70,000 tickets. Yeah. Naito, getting off to his title reign. He sells out Dominion with Kenta. Right? They're rolling before COVID. Everything's going great. And then everything just fucking they shut down. They were the second to last company to come back. They held out. It was them in Ring of Honor. That was it. Everyone else was back. Anyone else that matters was back. And then they came back, and it's just been one fucking shitty thing after another. It really is remarkable. So, they're in a bad way.
Yeah.
And the next week and a half or so, we'll see.
Yeah, it could be even worse than we're putting. I have no idea, no clue. Yeah, it could be an absolute disaster. It could be a mutiny. It could be a major outbreak. It could be so many different things that God only knows.
Yeah,
God only knows.
Yeah, but having to shut down again means that they weren't selling any tickets during that period. And I mean, you have to think New Japan World subs are going to start to suffer at some point, just because the shows aren't as good, and they're just not. They're going all these long periods of time without running shows. People's patience runs out. So it's a perilous situation, and they're gonna come back as quickly as they can, and that's what you just alluded to. All the gaijins being told, "Oh wait, no, we're gonna run on the 22nd now," and then they're like, "Well, I thought we could go home."
Right, you told us to go home, and some of us tried to, and some of us are already at the airport. We can't, if we go home, we can't quarantine in the amount of time, so we're not going to be on that show. And then, what Dave sort of said on the Observer is they essentially said, "Well, I guess you're not going home then," and I'd imagine that'd be a point of contention to say, "Hey, you can go home and go see your family." Actually, never mind. No, you can't. Come back.
Yeah,
like that's that sucks. If that's the case, like again, we're just sort of that's what I'm just kind of relaying what Dave said, and I think with Fit Finley, I forget what podcast he was on. He was on someone's. It was one of those things where somebody mentions the show and you're like, that guy has a show? Like, who listens to that? It was something, I forget what it was.
You're talking about David Finley, not Fit Finley, right?
No, it was Fit Finley on someone's show. It was like JBL's show or something like that. I was like, JBL has a podcast?
So wait, hold on. He was relaying stuff from his son?
Correct.
Okay. I didn't hear it, this is the first I'm hearing of it, so.
Yeah, what podcast was he on? Let me find out what show it was on, so.
Yeah. But
was it Sitting Ringside with David Penzer? I don't know if it was Sitting Ringside with David Penzer, but
he might
Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw. That might be it.
Never heard of it. All right.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Dave Finley.
I saw a screenshot of the three of them on Zoom together.
Yeah, so that must be it. Yeah. So apparently Gerald Briscoe and JBL have a podcast. I didn't know that, and Dave Fit Finley was on it. So Hornswoggle was on it this week. If you want to listen. Oh, it's only 3 episodes deep, so they're going to do hey, people make money on podcasts these days and do about 10 episodes and then realize it's a fucking grind and then quit and never do it again, so. Add them to the pile of other wrestler podcasts. Shit's not easy. It sucks.
Yeah, not easy.
There you go. So that is that, so. Excited to see what Reddit has to say about this tomorrow when they misconstrue what we said. And
yeah, you can.
As long as they get the link right. Voicesofwrestling.com. Put the link right, and then we'll get it. So anyway, let's talk about AEW here. You mentioned them. Second new TV deal for them during COVID. A lot to unpack with this thing as well. Here's the bullet points that we got from the news report that came out yesterday. AEW Dynamite will move to TBS beginning in 2022. Do you want to stop after these, or you want me to kind of run these down and we'll kind of give our thoughts overall?
Give the gist of it, and then we'll talk
Okay,
about
so Dynamite will move to TBS beginning in 2022. AEW is launching a brand new 1-hour show on Fridays called AEW Rampage. It's going to debut August 13th on TNT, but will move to TBS when the other programming does as well. As far as is it going to stay on Fridays, we don't know that, but I would assume it would, and it would just kind of carry over. Dynamite would stay on Wednesdays, move to TBS, Rampage, stay on Fridays, and move to TBS beginning in 2022. There will be 4 new yearly TNT specials, though. So these are, I believe, going to stay on TNT. 4 new yearly TNT specials, similar to the Clash of the Champions. They will be quarterly in between pay-per-views to kind of give them something to build to. So essentially what they've been doing with these big major TV shows, but instead they'll kind of be branded as specials. Dave Meltzer I don't know if he gave numbers, but he alluded to that they got more money, of course, when you change networks and add a show and do all that sort of stuff. It is definitely understood that you'll get a little bit more money there, and they did. So I forget if the numbers got mentioned, but increased compensation. And at this point, pretty much the conclusion is that Turner is now going to carry AEW Dynamite, 4 specials, Rampage, as well as the upcoming Cody and Brandy TV show, and AEW will continue to produce Dark and Dark Elevation. So again, a lot to unpack here, but what do you make of this brand new TV deal, channel change, all this sort of stuff going on, new TV show, Clash of the Champions, network television show? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here with AEW. It's all good. I mean, at the end of the day, you can come up with any dumb fucking it sounds like thunder, and you can come up with any dumb fucking stupid thing to say. But at the end of the day, Turner said, here's more money, and here's another hour on our networks. Thank you. That essentially. So any analysis that's not Turner is very happy with AEW and just gave them more money on another show, any other analysis besides that is pretty dumb, to be honest. So anyway, go ahead.
So we don't know how much money they're getting. Look, Tony Khan alluded to this on Busted Open several weeks ago when the NHL deal was announced. He said, hey, look, we're open to moving, but you got to sit at the table and make a deal with us because we have a contract that states that we're on Wednesday nights on TNT. You want us to be somewhere else? Write a check is basically what he was saying. And they wrote the check. So coming out of this, we don't know how much more they're getting. The only report I could find anywhere was Dave Meltzer saying it was an 8-figure increase. So that could mean $10 million more per year. It could mean $99 million more per year. We don't know. All we know is it's an 8-figure annual increase in their TV rights. It's going to be a significant number because they're producing another hour of in-ring content, which, like Rich said, is going to air Friday nights at 10, right? 10 Eastern, which 10 Eastern. I love. I loved when they did that late night Dynamite special that one week with the it had Scorpio Sky versus who's the guy that retired and went to NXT UK? Ben Carter.
Oh, Ben Carter. Yeah.
Scorpio Sky versus Ben Carter and a couple other matches. That was so cool to have wrestling airing at that time of night. I think that's a perfect time slot for them. It's right after SmackDown, so they have a lead-in of wrestling fans built right in. And it'll all air on TBS, which tells you that that was part of the negotiation. They wanted them off TNT. There's obviously going to be hockey games all over TNT starting this fall with that deal. So they moved AEW to the TBS side with the 4 yearly Clash of the Champion-like specials remaining on TNT, which is another piece of this. So what does this tell us? This tells us that Turner not only values the relationship, they value it enough to want more programming from these guys, and they were willing to open up the checkbook to get it. And it tells you that this is great news for AEW because now they've got a 3rd hour of content, 4 if you count the Cody reality show, and then 8 more additional hours of content, which I'm presuming those are going to be 2-hour shows, the 4 yearly shows on TNT. So you throw in 8 more hours there. What does this mean for AEW? Aside from the short term of getting another 8-figure mystery total tacked on to their annual deal, which was already at $45 million a year for the rights fees, now look at the package they have to shop in 2024. Okay. Now they are a content. They've got this pile of content, and we all know that content is king right now. That's where you make your money. It's not in pay-per-views. It's not in house shows. It's TV content. So now in 2024, when the deal is up with Turner,
hours of content too. We should mention as well, not just
hours of correct.
I mean that is what George Barrios would lead almost every WWE conference call off with. We did this quarter we produced 5,000 hours of content. You know what I mean? It's a badge of honor now to count up the hours of content you provide to your network partners.
Because that's what makes you your money. So, now you've got not just one show to sell around in 2024, but 3 hours of weekly programming plus the 4 specials. And it's amazing to me that they started with one television deal, which was nothing more than an ad split. Okay, and they've now had their deal torn up twice and restructured. And Turner keeps throwing more money at them. And, it's nothing but a good sign, and it tells you how happy Turner is with how Dynamite has performed. So, look, I talk about on the Thursday TV reviews, I always talk about how they feel in the room about the rating that week. I'll tell you how they feel in the room about this. Fucking ecstatic. There's no other way to feel.
Right.
I mean, what's the downside here? I mean, you move to TBS, it's on equal footing as TNT. I think there's a very slight difference in total homes, so I don't think that's going to make a difference.
Well, and that favors TBS if you look at those numbers. That slight difference in homes actually weirdly, which is beyond belief to me, because like every cable package I've ever had, they're just like the same. You know what I mean? They're one number away from each other pretty much everywhere I've ever lived. Every cable package I've ever had, they're 49 and 50 for me. They're right neck and neck. So I can't imagine getting TBS and not getting TNT, but yeah, it looks like there's like a million more homes but it's a negligible amount if we're really talking
you'd be
about
surprised. It's weird because on different cable systems and whatnot, sometimes they'll put TBS and TNT on different tiers, and that's where your difference comes in.
Yeah, right.
So it's weird with cable because all these cable systems could do whatever they want in terms of tiers and whatnot, but so that's really no big deal. And I've heard some people say, well, now they're going to go head to head with themselves with the hockey. Here's the thing, though. That's a Turner problem because AEW has been going head to head with hockey from the beginning and kicking their ass. They're not worried about hockey.
And Turner knows that. And Turner is probably fine with it, guessing that they're either different. I mean, they know that. Like, they're either different fan bases or they don't care. Like, at the end of the day, we don't really care. It's just more people watching our network. So, yeah, that's why you pay the big bucks. Yeah, that was going to happen.
Bottom line. What is currently on TBS on Wednesday nights? You don't even know.
No,
now Turner has
a rerun of Seinfeld, probably.
Now they're going to have Dynamite and the NHL on their 2 networks as opposed to Dynamite and whatever the fuck was running on TBS. So to them, they're going to own a lot of the 18 to 49, particularly 18 to 49 males on nights like that. So, and besides, that's not Dynamite's problem.
Yeah.
They're competing with the NHL.
It's not like Turner's going to look at the numbers and go, "Oh my God, what?" The NHL also, they know they know that this is going to happen, so it's not going to catch them by surprise when they look down at a rating and go, "Oh, what?"
Well, from Tony Khan's perspective, he's competing with hockey no matter what network it's on.
Yeah, he's competing with it on NBC Sports Network right now. So yeah.
Right. So if Turner wants to put it head to head, that to me, if I'm Tony Khan, that's Turner's problem. I don't care what Turner does with the. All it meant for me is you just gave me a lot more money, so that's fine by me. So yeah, that's not really going to be a factor. And then I see people. The other thing is like the whole Thunder thing, like you're saying, that's just people who don't understand.
You just don't understand anything about business, anything about
how.
You don't even understand the Thunder bit. You don't even understand that business of it. Go do a little bit of research.
You're drawing an example from 20 years ago. It's completely irrelevant. And
it's also a bad example because, and real quickly, just to kind of give people, catch up people up to speed. Like at that point, Nitro was this is post, the early 1998 or whatever, or late 1997 when, they're still riding high, but they're starting to lose a little bit of ground. WWF starting to kind of bubble a little bit in there. But, they, in the same like week or month or whatever that they debuted Thunder, they also debuted the 3rd hour of Nitro. So overnight, they basically had to produce 4 hours or 5 hours of weekly, television out of nowhere. And I think, I would have to look at the exact figures, but I'm pretty sure the price increase was 0 for the TV rights. And it was essentially just, hey, we need you to produce this for us. So now you got Thunder. And it was, at a time when that company was at its need, it really kind of beginning the climb down and not on the rise. Like I think we can probably say that AEW is right now. Whatever rise that may be, obviously nowhere near the level of WCW at this point, but by the time Thunder and the third hour of Nitro come, WCW is kind of either, teetering out or starting its kind of downslope, and it's just totally different. Yeah, the financials are different, the landscape is different. That was all about. Yeah, it's just it shows a complete utter lack of understanding of the pro wrestling business then, and an utter lack of the business of the pro wrestling business today. So
you may as well be talking about something in 1950,
right? So if you're gonna bring you might as well bring it up the Dumont Network and fucking wrestling on the Dumont Network. Yeah, so
you get paid money to produce more content
right.
now. Thunder was just a company that already owned it, producing
saying,
another hour.
Give us 2 more hours or give us another hour or whatever. Yeah, forget it. I think it started out as 2 hours. Yeah, hey, we want 2 more hours of content. Can you do that for us? Thanks. We need it like next month.
Yeah, and it's just whatever they were getting on ad rates. It's not an influx of cash the way that more content is now that you could sell to networks. It's just a complete lack of understanding of how the wrestling business operates today versus how WCW was operating 23 years ago. It's completely irrelevant. And, if the fear is, well, they're going to overstretch themselves and the quality of their content is going to drop. Well, that's up in the air, but I'm confident they could do another 1 hour show and make it good. I'm not really worried about that. And I'm also confident they're not going to treat that third hour. They're not going to treat Rampage like a B show, like Thunder was treated by the lazy WCW bookers. And people quickly realized that Thunder was non-essential programming.
Yeah, pretty much after the first month, it was just like, oh, you don't have to watch Thunder ever. And you didn't, and people didn't.
And the way that WWE treats Main Event and Superstars and 205 Live, where it's very obvious that it's not essential programming, I don't think AEW is going to have that problem. I think they're going to treat it as equal programming, and because they're going to want it to do a number, because they're going to want to sell that package in 2024. So now, will it put a strain on everybody? We don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be too much for their team to handle. We'll find that out. But I don't think they're just going to treat it like a side project where it's going to be like a third version of Dark, and you're going to be getting, terribly, lazily booked, non-essential program. I don't think that's going to be the case. So the Thunder comparison doesn't even work from that perspective. So that stuff you just got to disregard. At the end of the day, this is all very good news for AEW. This all worked out great. The best thing that ever happened to them was Turner acquiring that NHL package, because none of this happens if that doesn't occur. Because they don't have to move networks.
Right. It could a double whammy. I think also the conglomerate or whatever the hell is going on with Warner and the selling of that. I think that's one part of it, and then also, like you said, the more important part is the NHL package. They buy that NHL package, and yeah, that it totally transforms everything.
Now you know the third hour was coming because they've been talking about that for like a year or whatever it is. Okay, so I'm sure there was some kind of deal in place for the third hour, and then when they kicked that off, right? So you knew that was coming. But where they probably got an additional influx of cash was because of that NHL deal and moving networks. Because there's no reason for Tony Khan to agree to move networks if there's not something in it for him. So that's why the NHL deal ended up being great for them. And in fact, it ended up being the whole NHL situation ended up being a plus for everybody, even NXT, because it forced WWE, when WWE was afraid that those NHL playoffs were going to be on Wednesday nights and we're going to bump them, they moved their show to Tuesday, okay? And that's more beneficial to them. So this stupid war could end, and you can maximize your viewership, which they were doing for a few weeks. But now they're down in the fucking shit.
Today, this week, yeah.
But on paper, even the specter of possibly the NHL coming to USA ended up being beneficial for WWE too, because but here's the thing. NXT is back doing the shitty numbers they were doing, and Dynamite has done nothing but grow without NXT counter programming them. So this whole NHL thing really has benefited AEW more than anyone. And it really, is a really big story. It's interesting how different dominoes can fall, because something totally unrelated to pro wrestling, NHL signing a new television deal, has all of these ripple effects and this big influx of cash. And I suspect that the only person privy to the number is Dave Meltzer, and he's saving it for the Observer. That's my guess.
I would assume, yeah.
So maybe we'll all know in a matter of hours how much money they're getting. But I mean, this was a pretty aggressive roster construction before the new influx of cash. And it's kind of good timing when you've got Bryan Danielson and Andrade and who knows who else
Smojo
available, and all of a sudden you've got this gigantic influx of income to chase people who you were probably chasing already. Now it becomes a little easier if one of these guys is looking for an extra zero on
right. The haggling can end, and you can say, you know what, you guys want you want this? Yeah, we can do that now. So here you go. You know,
right. So it just puts them in a tremendous position. So in the room, I like to say on the TV reviews, they're high-fiving in the room. If it's really good news, they're popping champagne in the room. I don't know what the fuck they're doing in the room after all this. They're having a naked fucking party.
I was going to say a naked Coke party, given how successful this has been. So.
Yeah, this is just the greatest news.
They've earned it. They've earned the naked Coke party.
Could have ever achieved.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, they went from an ad split deal, okay? They went from a fucking ad split deal and then hopefully doing well enough where by 2024 they can get a paying deal to having a deal torn up twice, and it's just incredible. It's crazy. They didn't have to wait to 2024 to get 2 new deals. This is their second new deal, and their first deal hasn't ended yet. That's crazy. Turner, it's like they didn't have to do it the first time. They kind of had to do it this time because of the contracts and everything. But Turner didn't have to do it the first time. So, I mean, everything just keeps coming up roses for these guys.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Is it's not like any imposed deadline that they go, all right, yeah, we want to keep you guys for another year. They're saying, hey, here's a new deal, and here's another hour, and here's more money. Like, you know what I mean? They're coming. I mean, at the end of the day, AEW has no leverage to sit down and say, hey, you're going to give us another hour and $10 million and whatever. So Turner is coming to them and saying, hey, can we give you more money and give you more content? You know what I mean? Like, we find you valuable enough to do that. So. That's a tremendous success there, is that without an imposed deadline, without a drop dead date, without a, open contract negotiations, Turner continues to come to the table and say, let us extend you, let us give you more time, let us do this. So that is, like you said, that's a lot of high fives in the room for sure. I mean, that is as good as it gets for right now to give you that stability and that idea that you are a valuable asset for that network. So, yeah. Anybody that thinks anything else is a idiot. You're just an idiot. You have no idea.
To where they're willing to rip up the contract and move you and pay you more money instead of just saying, no, we're going to preempt you 13 times. Or we're going to move you to midnight 13 times. I mean, they could have done. They didn't do that. They said, look, we value this property. We'll move you, and we're willing to pay you more money to do so. And that's how it played out. Now the question is, what's the amount? What's the dollar amount?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be pretty healthy, honestly. I mean, if they're paying $45 million a year for 2 hours of TV a week, okay, then why, if I'm Tony Khan, am I taking any less than $22.5 million for another hour?
Oh yeah. You look at the landscape, and I said that AEW doesn't have that much leverage, but they do have the leverage of like, hey, look at the landscape. So if TNT came and said, hey, give us that extra hour for $200,000, like Tony could say no. Like, why would I do that? Like, look at the value. No, that's not the value of live sports right now, and you know it. That's not the value. Look at all these deals. So no, you got to come a little bit better with that deal. Yeah, so that is the leverage that they have, is that look at the landscape. You know what I mean? Like, no. So they don't sign it if it's,
the leverage they have is you're already paying me X amount for 2 hours, so why wouldn't you pay me the same amount for the extra hour?
Right. Exactly.
And also you're breaking my contract. So, let's throw that in there too. And then Turner comes back with, all right, well, we want a little extra value for that. And then you come back with, all right, well, how about, can we have some specials? And then it goes from there. You could see how this all played out. That's just more content. That's why these darks and dark elevations are 1,000 hours long. They want to build a content library. You've all seen the template that was set by WWE. The content is where the money is. So those darks and dark elevations, they're tryout tools for talent. They're developmental tools for talent. And also, it's fucking content. So that when one of these streaming services comes calling looking for content, you can say, like Rich just said a few minutes ago, we have 8,000 hours of, or whatever it is, of content that we can offer you for your streaming service today. What do you think that's worth? And then there you go.
Right.
And you sell them all these dopey dark and dark evolution to beef up the deal. These people don't know the difference. It's just content.
Yeah, here's a hard drive that has 6,000 hours of content
Yeah.
you guys can upload. So knock yourselves out.
Right. So that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's the AEW deal.
Yeah.
Huge deal. Big, I'm so curious of the number. I think it's going to be, my guess it's going to be at minimum $25 million.
Interesting. Okay. I don't know if I have a guess. Yeah, I don't know if I have a good guess.
Well, it's at least 10 and it's less than 99.
Yeah, it's somewhere between 10 and 99 is probably, that'll be my official stance. Yeah, probably, I guess on the lower end. Yeah, you're probably right. 25, 15, 25. I could see it being somewhere in that range.
Which would put them at about, $70 million a year annually.
Yeah, it's not bad.
For, 3 hours of TV.
Yeah, during COVID too. Like we said, like they're increasing this during a time period when it should be, but they've proven their worth. They haven't missed a second. And that's what we had this discussion during COVID. Remember when people were like, "It's irresponsible. It's this." We flat out said the company will survive because they are producing content during COVID. Yes, maybe that's bad. Yes, maybe that's irresponsible. Yes, maybe it's whatever. But that for that company to exist and that company to exist beyond this year, they cannot stop and they have to produce content and produce weekly content every single week. Live, quote unquote, live weekly content every single week. And people argued with us. No, it's irresponsible. They should shut down, yada, yada. We said they know what they're doing. They're doing it for a reason. They're doing it for the health and continuation of their company. If this company is going to exist beyond this year, they can't take months off. They can't take weeks off. They need to produce content. And what has happened in that time is they've signed 2 TV deals and made massive more amounts of money and have now given themselves stability for the next 5 years, basically.
Well, if Raw's 3 hours are worth $200 million, isn't that what it is? 200 or 180 million or something?
Yeah, I forget the exact. Yeah, somewhere in that range.
And they're doing 0.6s or 0.5s in the 18 to 49 or whatever it is. Then wouldn't AEW's 3 hours being worth 70 million kind of be proportional, doing high 0.3s, sometimes 0.4s, when you're not going up against the NBA? So that's why I say 25, because that would put them at about $70 million annually. I don't know. I mean, I'm not Nick Khan. I wish I was, but that seems fair to me. Proportionally to what WWE gets for their 3 hours on USA. You can't really, SmackDown we know is $200 million a year. It's, what was it, $200 million over 5 years for $1 billion total?
Yeah,
or something
exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
So, but that's network, that's different. The comp would be USA and TBS, and Raw is doing, high end of 0.6, low end, high 0.4s, I guess, for Raw. And like 1.8 million total viewers. So you're looking at AEW programming that, high end will do 1.1 million viewers, low point about 800,000, and somewhere between the mid 0.4s in the demo and the high 0.2s. So I mean that's why my guess is what it is. What I would go into the room like thinking in my head as someone who has never negotiated a TV deal in my life. But that's kind of where I would put it, right? So I think proportionally 70 million would be fair. You give WWE a little bump because they've been doing it for fucking 40 years, right? But you got to get a little bump because you're breaking your contract. So there's a lot of moving parts there.
For sure.
So we'll see. But at any rate, either way, they increased their deal. They ripped it up and they've signed a new deal.
So you go, that's the AEW TV deal, channel change. We'll move on now to more topics kind of in American wrestling here. NXT made some cuts as well this week. They names that were a part of the initial cut. There was also another one today, Velveteen Dream, released today. Was it Patrick Clark? I think that's his real name, right? Patrick Clark, I want to say. Yeah,
it turns out on top of all the other issues with Velveteen Dream that they were seemingly ignoring or investigated, and whatever the case with that, that there was a lot of heat just with the other wrestlers and everything. So I think Fightful reported that the wrestlers were afraid that maybe he was angling for a coaching position, and they kind of were uncomfortable with that. It didn't seem like he had many pals.
No. And he had barely, I don't think he wrestled at all in 2020. And yeah, it felt like it was a long time coming for this. Yeah. So. Yeah. There's the Velveteen Dream. So he includes these names as well. Jake Clemens, a referee. I think he's already got an AEW shot booked, so good for him. getting back on the indies. Indie refs, I mean, if you want to ref on the indies, you can get a job tomorrow, so good for him. Urza Judge, who I think real name is EJ Nadoka, I believe is his name. And
I have no idea who that is.
He's a fucking massive dude. He's like a champion bodybuilder, like just a guy that looks like the template of what this performance center exists for, is a guy like this. So I have no idea what's going on with this. I don't know if he just was so bad they couldn't figure anything out of it, but I thought he was a college football player and then he became a professional bodybuilder or something. So I don't know anything else beyond that, but yeah, he seems like the type of guy that probably shouldn't slip through the cracks, but God only knows, what the reason was. He signed in August of 2019, but has not done much obviously in the years. But so he played at Jacksonville University, then Sam Houston State. And then tried out or did a little bit of CFL stuff, and also did the NFL Draft Combine, but never made it anywhere else. I'll be on there, and then became professional bodybuilder. So he is done now. Skylar Story, the former Brandy Lauren, was released after 6 months. She had her Property of WWE shirt was barely it only got washed a few times, and she's already out of there. So
Wrestled one match.
Yeah, I don't know.
Battle Royal.
Seems strange. So I don't know what's going on.
Battle Royal. Yeah, they I mean, they're making look, they made main roster cuts, and those were, believe it or not, budget cuts. Which is just sounds crazy but anyway, we knew the NXT cuts were coming. It just took a little longer for them to come. So, and a lot of these have 30-day clauses and not the traditional 90-day. So I don't know if that's because these are NXT contracts versus main roster contracts, but she only got on TV once, and it was a battle royal, and maybe they've been evaluating her, and it's just someone that they didn't think. They have 1 million women they have an exorbitant amount of women on the roster, so it's become very competitive. It's not like the old days where you'd have a roster that's 90% men, 10% women. Those percentages that gap is closed on that roster. So it's just as competitive now. So it doesn't really surprise me that they would sign someone and then cut them that quickly if they didn't see anything in them.
Mm-hmm. Right. There was nothing that really made her stand out over the others. Yeah, we have no idea. We have no idea the internal, or she asked for it, or who the hell knows what happened. But anyway, Skylar's story, her story has ended here. Jessamine Duke, one of the 4 horsewomen, also released. At this point, she had completely just stopped wrestling. I forget if it was injury or they just realized that nothing was going to happen here. She was doing streaming stuff for them. She was on a bunch of Twitch channels and whatnot, but they have decided finally to part with her. And I will say this, even though I don't know if she was ever going to be good, I don't know what they had from her. I have no fucking clue. But the idea that they never once even tried to book the Ronda Rousey's horsewomen versus the WWE horsewomen is insane. It's just absolutely, even if you know that she sucks and Shafir sucks, it's fine. You got Rousey and you got Baszler and you have the other 4 the NXT horsewomen that all know how to work. That's just such a license to print money, and they never did it. They teased it a little bit, they teased it during social media, and they never pounced on it, and now I guess it's over. So
they leave. It's just dumb.
They leave so much money on the table. Just do it. Just do it. If she can't work,
that could have been the main event of a pay-per-view.
Yes. If she can't work, whatever. All you need to do is tag her in. She does a few shoulder blocks and she's out. If Shafir can't work, a few shoulder blocks, a sell, and she's out. Rousey can work. Baszler can work. That's all you need. You know what I mean? Like in any other era.
And you have these 2 geeks to eat the pin.
Right. In any other era, any company in the world would have made so much money with this shit, and they never once booked it.
It's so easy of a story. It's so easy of a story that it's almost hacked.
Right, you have all 4 of the NXT horsewomen in there doing their fucking 4 fingers thing. Ronda Rousey's music plays, and she goes, "We were the original, women 4 horsewomen, or the original 4 horsewomen. Let's Evolution 2 or whatever. Like, you don't have to do anything.
Any pay-per-view.
Anything.
It's a headline match.
It doesn't. The build is nothing.
Do it on a takeover and fill a basketball arena with it.
Anything. Just book it. What are you doing? Why would you not book it?
I thought Duke would be safe with the streaming stuff. Like, I thought that would say, but I guess they figured that's an expense they can cut.
Yeah.
Shafir, I don't even know if she's still on the roster or not.
I think she is, but God only knows what I don't know what she's doing these days.
Shafir, Duke hasn't wrestled since 2019. Shafir actually wrestled in the Women's Dusty Classic. They lost in the first round. And she wrestled in that Battle Royal that Brandy Lauren wrestled in September of last year. So every now and then they dust the mothballs off Marina Shafir and get her in there. Duke just was no longer a wrestler, and Duke was especially bad. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, she was like, you always say, like the Bambi or like the deer. Yeah, she couldn't do anything.
Newborn baby giraffe.
Yeah, right.
Struggling in the stand.
Yeah.
It was really bad. She was atrocious. It just goes to show, even if you're a legitimate athlete sometimes, and a high enough level athlete to be an MMA fighter, even though Duke and Shafir were awful MMA fighters, but at a time when, you know, the entry level for women wasn't as high as it is now. So who knows how great of an athlete she really was. I'm assuming she's a better athlete than like me or you, but it just goes to show that
I would say that's a safe assumption that she's probably a better athlete than me. Yes.
But just goes to show that someone who at least was a major league caliber real athlete, pro caliber athlete, it doesn't always translate. She was really bad, and Shafir's not good, but she was really bad.
Yeah.
And
with that said, there's no fucking excuse not to book the fucking.
No, there's no excuse at all.
Zero.
And the fact that they were terrible MMA fighters doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Because it's pro wrestling, and you can still get them over as dangerous or whatever, like they were doing on NXT for a while with those two, but they just weren't good. So that's it for Duke. And if I'm Shafir, you know, the JTG, don't answer your phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. That phone is going away, and yeah. I am just going to show up to squat class and just don't talk to anybody. Don't look at anybody. Just kind of get there, go do your work. Hopefully hip toss class is very crowded that day, so you can just...
she's married to Roddy. Maybe that'll...
Yeah, that might keep her going, so... Vanessa
They're a lovely couple, by the way.
They are. They have a cute kid and stuff, so yeah, that's good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. Vanessa Bourne also released.
I was never a fan of Vanessa Bourne when I was reviewing NXT.
She was terrible. So,
yeah.
Yes.
She wasn't good. I mean, when I was reviewing NXT regularly, she was very often the worst thing on the show. I mean, she was really not good. I know she has a lot of fans. A lot of fans in the sense of people who think they could have done more with her. I'm not suggesting she was over in any regard. But I never saw anything in Vanessa Bourne, honestly. I'm surprised she lasted this long. Did you see she put out it was either on Twitch or whatever social media bullshit. She has a very passive-aggressive goodbye video floating around. You need to watch that.
Ooh, I have not. Yeah, I have not seen it.
She's spilling the tea, as the kids say.
Yeah.
Very passive-aggressive. She does this thing where, with a smile on her face, airs all of her grievances, and then at the end of it says, "But I'm not bitter."
Right, I just spent 7
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
One of those things. Yeah. So it's pretty funny because she's like, "I don't have any bad feelings, and I'm not bitter. You just spent 3 minutes, telling all the, how they stole your ideas and everything." So yeah. So that's the end of Vanessa Bourne, which I don't know. As far as these people popping up other places, we talked about Jake Clemens. I don't know anything about Ezra Judge. Brandy Lauren will be all over the indies. No problem with that. I believe she's still dating Joey Janela. So she'll be
I don't think that's a thing
not
anymore.
A case
yeah,
anymore?
I think
Okay.
that's done, yeah.
All right. So that would have been an easy into Game Changer. If they still have if they're still like friends or whatever, I would presume it'd be, but I don't know nothing.
Yeah,
I obviously know less than you about their relationship.
And that's all I know. So that's all. I'll leave it at that.
Jessamine Duke, I don't expect her to ever wrestle again.
Yeah, she's done.
Vanessa Bourne seems like someone who, I don't know. It's hard to say. Is she the next Tay Conti? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's audio of me saying Tay Conti sucks and will never wrestle again.
No doubt.
And now look, so you never really can tell. So I don't know. She signed off her little fucking Twitch stream with, I'm very regretful that I never got to wrestle zombies. So she was very passive-aggressive about that,
I like
too.
it. Yeah, let's put her on the show. We should give her a podcast.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I see nothing in Vanessa Bourne, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she'll go
that
somewhere.
That little line makes me think that there's something there, Shoot,
Yeah.
She thinks, this thing
sucks.
She's going to cut some she's going to go to GC Dub and cut some fucking shoot promos, like old school,
Yep.
Kavita Devi, who Indian woman, who I think was supposed to be on those Superstar Spectacles, whatever. But I think she had some family emergency, so she went back to India, and I do not think she's wrestled for a while there. But they obviously had some pretty... She was in one of the Mae Young Classics. I forget which one. What was given a modicum of a push just because they wanted to, get an Indian woman some publicity, but she, for whatever reason, is done. I think she was technically the first Indian woman that ever had in the company, but yeah, she hasn't wrestled since last 2019, July 2019. So obviously something went awry there, and yeah,
Kavita Devi was the YouTube champion of the world, remember?
Oh, right. Yeah, she was getting 90,000 views.
90,000?
Or
90 million.
Yeah, 90 million views on every Mae Young Classic match that she had. I do remember that now, yeah.
Kavita Devi was legitimately the WWE YouTube champion. Her uploads, from India, they loved her. She was over with the Indian people on YouTube, at least. And then, I don't know if just she's fucking terrible. I don't remember even watching her wrestle, to be honest. I'm sure she wasn't exactly...
I really don't remember much. I mean, the only time I remember ever seeing her actually wrestle was usually in, like, Battle Royals. I know she was on a WrestleMania kickoff, and then she was in the Mae Young Classic. But, yeah, as far as other stuff, I don't honestly remember her being in too many other things. So,
Rich, let's face it, she probably wasn't Akira Hokuto.
She probably was not, yes. So.
Yeah, so that's, she was probably terrible, and it seems like she had some injury issues if she hasn't wrestled in that long.
Right.
It's either
a
injury
family
issues,
thing, too, and there was a family thing, too, going on, so.
Yeah, okay, I didn't know about that. Or maybe they just didn't have any faith in putting her in the ring. She never made TV outside of the tournament. So, it just goes to show that, they've all kind of figured out the value of these YouTube download
it doesn't
plays
matter.
or whatever you call them.
Doesn't
It just
fucking matter. Yeah.
You can't make any money off it because when advertisers figure out they're from India, they won't pay you for them because the Indian economy is so bad that there's no money in it. So they don't advertise. There's no money in advertising towards Indian people. So, and when someone does the YouTube numbers that she does, you would think that would make her safe, but it's worthless. That's the problem. So
right.
it's kind of
her 900 million views don't mean, they mean nothing. They're
you have all these people who want to consume your content, but you can't figure out how to make money.
Yeah, you can't monetize them, and then there's no point. So
yeah.
Alexander Wolf. Now he's an interesting one that I think a lot of people are going to go, whatever. Don't Alexander Wolf fucking rules. So
this guy's awesome.
Yeah, so be prepared. 2021, you're going to see a lot of him, and he's going to be fucking great.
Yeah, they kicked him out of Ring Comp for whatever they call them. What do they call him now?
Imperium.
So they kicked him out of Imperium, and it's like, I guess that was his write-off because then they cut him like 2 days later. But this guy fucking rules. This guy can go. I was not an Alexander Wolf believer at first, and I forget, someone was really on the Alexander Wolf hype train. And I don't remember who it was. Was it Rob Naylor or maybe Allen? I can't remember. But someone kept telling me, no, this guy's great. This guy's great. And then I finally got it. I'm like, no, yeah, this guy, he had like 3 or 4 killer matches in a row. And this is a dude where out of this batch of releases, this is the one I'm making the phone call to instantly.
Yeah,
I can find something to do with this guy. I'm not saying he's like a future world champion but this guy can have a place on my roster. I'll find something for this guy to do. I'll find a match for him to be in. Yeah, there's something there with this guy. This is not and he's a guy who I think is pretty hungry. I think immediately upon getting released, changed his Twitter account, released a video, said I'm open for business, type stuff. So he'll pop up. A lot of these guys, they wait out their thing and then they take some, a few bookings here and there, try to make a lot of money off of them, think their worth is way more than it is. And it is, but not, he right out of the gates was here. I'm open for business. Let's go. Let's do this thing. So I'm excited. Yeah.
And then final one, Drake Wirtz, obviously referee Drake Wirtz, which felt like a very long time coming for him who, an absolute lunatic and just a crazy human being. So.
Drake Wirtz, unfortunately, is a psychopath. So, I mean, what else do you want me to say?
I know, people are like, whoa, you guys got to talk about I mean, he's a fucking maniac. Like, what do you want me to tell you?
There's a lot of sympathy for him in a lot of circles because people feel like he's just been indoctrinated and brainwashed, and this really isn't him. The QAnon stuff is just fucking wild. It's just
it's divorced from reality. He's completely divorced from reality. So it's
and I mean, we try not to do politics, and I don't even really consider it politics. I think if you're into QAnon, you're just so far off the reservation that I can't take you seriously as a human being.
Right, I kind of just laugh at. I know that like you shouldn't, because there are people that like are very really doing like really really terrible stuff, and affecting a lot of people's lives with this QAnon shit. But like I kind of I have had people in my life that have been directly affected. I just kind of laugh. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's you're just not a real. You're
you're an idiot. Like I just stopped talking to you. I've disconnected from all those people because I'm like, you've lost all sense of reality. So I have no need for you in my life anymore. So bye. Just go. Yeah,
the QAnon stuff is just so far removed from.
Right, go scream. Go into a fucking park and scream about your wild shit. I guess. And he's all in. So I don't know. I'm sure he'll get indie bookings. Don't worry about it. He'll get indie bookings.
I put them, I wouldn't be.
He'll do CZ Dub. He'll do CZ Dub and some other bullshit like that. And
you're right.
He'll be gone.
Ian Rotten will book him or something. Yeah. No, it's if he even wants to do that, he might be so indoctrinated.
He might say, "Oh, this is great. Now I have more time to spread the word of So it could. He might be done with wrestling. You know what I mean? He might just completely disassociate and move on. So,
and he might just not be able to coexist with other humans. I mean, he just. Now all the stories are coming out of all the issues he had behind the scenes, and I can't believe they kept him around as long as they did. I mean, maybe they were just waiting for a batch of releases so he can't feel like he was
right. I think
out.
They needed to. It would probably had to happen is they didn't want to just release him out of nowhere, because then it's like, oh, you're being released because my opinions and I'm trying to spread But if you can say, oh, hey, it's budgetary cuts and we release 9 other people as well, and you're one of the 9, it's a lot easier.
It's harder to get.
If he were to do litigation, they could say, well, it was it's budget cuts. It was not anything. They could come to the table and say it's not because of his opinions or his thoughts or whatever. It's because it was budget cuts. But if you release him by himself out of nowhere after he does something stupid, then he could litigate and say, oh, well, it's because I was doing this and that. Yeah, and they
even if he's 100% in the wrong, like
right. They just don't want to go to the table with this guy. I'm sure they're just ready to just be done forever. Yeah.
Yeah, it could still be a thorn in your side, like file some frivolous lawsuit that you don't want to deal with. So you just release him in a mass batch. That feels like what happened here.
Yeah.
Because you see the stories of him storming out of meetings and being belligerent and just, it's like, well, I mean, they probably had cause prior, but you feel like this guy's unstable and he's going to get some fucking QAnon lawyer and he's going to be a big problem and it's going to be in the news and he's going to go on fucking Newsmax and complain about the company, and you don't want to deal with any of that shit. So you do it this way, and like you're saying, it becomes real hard to make that kind of case when they can turn around and say, well, we released 12 people. You happen to be one of them, including another referee, So I think that's the way you do it. But I mean, it's just, he's just, this one you kind of, it was going to happen at some point. So that's the end of Drake Words.
There you go. So Drake Words, Velveteen Dream, Alexander Wolf, Kavita Devi, Vanessa Bourne, Jasmine Duke, Skylar Story, Irza Judge, Jake Clemens released. So that's what we got right now. I think that's it for the releases right now, but we'll see.
All the phones have been answered.
I don't know. I think, but who knows?
All right.
All right, let's stick in WWE land here. Let's talk about WrestleMania Backlash. It seems like it happened 19 days ago at this point, given all the stuff that's happened this week. And I'm reading the card and I'm like, I watched this. I watched all of it, but I don't remember all of it. So it might not be the greatest review here, but let's take it away here. Raw Women's Title match, triple threats. Rhea Ripley, Asuka, Charlotte. Rhea Ripley defeats Asuka and Charlotte, retains the Raw Women's Title. I think I remember this being good, but kind of sloppy at times. I don't remember now, actually. So, what happened in this match? I forget a lot of this card, even though it only happened 6 days ago.
No, this show was a decent show aside from.
There's 2 things that sucked, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, the zombies and the numbers game tag team match. Other than that, everything was pretty good. Everything ranged from pretty good to, I thought, notebook worthy.
Yeah,
honestly.
There was one match to me that I thought was fucking tremendous. Or 2 matches I thought were fucking tremendous. So
yeah, and this was good. I think we figured out the key to solving the Rhea Ripley Asuka chemistry problems, and that's to add a third person to the match.
Yeah,
because they've had terrible matches against each other, and this was fine. I didn't think it was great or anything, but it was just a solid 3.25 star match or something like that, 3.5 even. Probably closer to 3.5, honestly, now that I think about the match. They really went out there and worked hard. So, no, I did, and I did like it. And Ripley retained, which I think was the right call.
And then so we had, between this match and the next match, we had a pre-tape that showed Dominic Mysterio getting attacked backstage by the Dirty Dogs, and they threw a couch on top of him. There was a couch wrapped in plastic for some reason. That was a delivery that went awry. That behind in the Sun Dome or whatever, Yingling Center, whatever the fuck it's called these days, and they put Dominic Mysterio under it, and then we cut to the doctor's office or the local medical facility office, and Dominic Mysterio is holding his ribs and. Joe, it doesn't look good. And Rey Mysterio's going, oh no. The doctor goes, I don't think he could wrestle. And Rey goes, no. And Dominic goes, Dad, you got this. You don't need me.
Yeah.
And
Which
Rey goes,
doesn't.
Dominic, I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
So bad.
And anybody that has ever watched this company for more than one day, and this is when I had that realization that this company, I think if you are so dumb that you don't remember anything, or this is actually literally the first time you've ever watched this company ever, you might think, this is kind of interesting. This is weird. Like, I wonder what's going to happen here. But you, me, everybody listening to the show, anybody with a brain knew exactly what was going to happen in this match, and it played out exactly as we all thought it. Rey Mysterio comes out without Dominic. The announcers mutter to themselves, oh my God, how's Rey going to overcome these odds? The numbers game, the Dirty Dogs at 2 versus 1, and what's going to happen? And then, Joe, they proceed to have a match for 17 minutes between the Dirty Dogs and Rey. And the problem is Rey and Dolph and Root, they worked their asses off. They worked their fucking asses off in this match. Rey looked great. And then, Joe, as anybody with a brain could have expected, oh my God, is that Dominic? And Dominic comes down holding his ribs, limping. And Joe, I know in this moment you cared about Dominic. You had to care about Dominic because Dominic's coming down and he's got the hurt ribs. And he gets onto the apron. He gets to the corner. And Joey reaches his hand out. And Rey tags in Dominic. And Dominic comes in. And he fights like hell and fights like hell and fights like hell. And then eventually, Joe, he wins the match. Rey and Dominic overcome the odds. And they become, as Pat McAfee said, a documentary worthy, the first ever WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champions that are a father and son duo. And you will never forget where you were when the first ever father and son duo became WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champions. You were, I guess, sitting on your couch or doing whatever the hell you were doing when you watched WrestleMania Backlash. So,
leather recliner.
Fucking terrible. Just so bad.
So, is documentary worthy the new Pat McAfee thing?
Well, he said it for 2 times in 3 days. So
I know. I got a question for you.
Okay.
Is the documentary, is Pat McAfee calling something documentary worthy? Is this the equivalent to like JR's bowling shoe ugly, in that he's talking in code and winking at the viewer like, okay, Jim Ross would call things bowling shoe ugly when it was a rough match between shitty wrestlers and he didn't want to ruin his own credibility, right? So he would use this like little wink, wink, nudge, nudge term, bowling shoe ugly, to describe a match that was bad because the wrestlers were bad.
Right. Or when he knew the match was going to be bad, he'd get out ahead of it and say, well, you're probably not going to see any collar and elbow tie-ups. It's not going to be a catch-as-catch-can match out there. It's going to be, get out ahead of it, as in this match is going to fucking suck. This Tori versus Sable, match is going to suck. So let me just let you know right now that you're not going to see a hammerlock or, a top wrist lock. It's going to be, it's going to be bowling shoe ugly. So
to retain his credibility.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is this what Pat McAfee is going to do now?
Interesting.
Okay. Listen. When the company wants to make a real big deal out of something that he knows the fans really don't care about, but that it's his job to put over as a big deal, is this his way of retaining his credibility by being so over the top about it that we know Pat's on the same level as us?
Right,
he knows
right.
Like, he knows no one cares about Tamina.
Like, they're screaming in his headset, make a big deal about it, and he knows nobody cares.
So
Tamina won the titles.
Yeah. So he's like, I don't want to be a geek and make people think that I care about Tamina, because I know that I don't, and I know that no one else cares about Tamina. So is his thing going to be, when it's something like that he knows the viewer really doesn't care about, and he doesn't want to come across like a company stooge, is he just going to call it documentary worthy?
Yeah, maybe.
Seems
a
like
good,
it, right?
It's a good play. I hadn't thought of that before, but that's a good. as a guy as trying to kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because we know that overnight he didn't become a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like he's,
right.
Despite doing that job, but yeah, he's probably getting screamed at in his headset, and that's maybe his thing.
The way of putting something over to make his bosses happy, but also to tell us, look, guys, I know that this isn't that big a deal either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe I like it. Yeah, I like that idea. We'll see. I think we'll find out pretty quickly if that is the case, or if he has absolutely lost his mind now that he's in that job where he has nothing. He doesn't know what to say. You know what I mean? He's just out of things to say. But I don't know from that guy. He's a pretty smart guy and seems to know what he's doing. So
nobody gives a fuck about Tamina. No one. No one. I could see some WWE fans being into the Mysterio thing. I can't see anyone caring about Tamina winning a title. Why would anyone care? It's Tamina. You would never convince me.
They had the pyro and stuff.
Yeah, Tamina is over. A tear-filled promo and the pyro.
For Tamina.
I reviewed that match behind the paywall, by the way. $10 tier. No one cares. But anyway, this match fucking stunk. Listen. I don't care how good Rey Mysterio was. I don't care how good the Dirty Dogs were. All three of them were really good in this match. They gave Rey an intense beatdown. No one takes a beatdown like Rey. It's Rey and it's Ricky Morton. And the conversation stopped. Then there's a whole new level behind that. I get it. But I will never be interested in this kind of match structure in this company ever again, no matter how good the work is. It's the same old shit for the last 20 years. I can't get into this. It's reductive. It's intelligence insulting, and I didn't even get to the zombies yet. It stinks. So no, I don't care how good the work was. To me, this is like a 1-star match. And the work doesn't matter anymore. I hate it. Man, I came into this positive. I came into this review I was going to try, Rich, to stay positive for WrestleMania Backlash. What was next on this fucking thing?
Yeah, we had a double whammy here because then we get a pre-tape where John Morrison is backstage and he's looking around. He opens a door. It says Lumberjacks on the door, and he goes, let me see who the Lumberjacks are. And he opens the door, and they go, brains, and he closes the door real quick, and his eyes bug out. And he goes, oh my God. And then we get an interview with John Morrison and The Miz, and he says, Miz, I looked at the Lumberjacks, and they don't look like they're living. They look like they're zombies. And The Miz goes, they're not zombies. Yeah, what are you talking about? Just the dumb Miz voice.
Yeah.
And then the match starts. And they're zombies. Yeah, it's Damian Priest and The Miz, and there's a Lumberjack match with zombies. And this was the single most embarrassing moment I have ever had as a wrestling fan.
Imagine one of those ground that covers.
Yeah, one of those moments where you like you say you look around and you hope nobody walks in. It was one of those moments where I really honestly, and I was about to send you a text message. I think I said it on Twitter a little bit. I was just like, I think we just need to not cover this company anymore until they can fit. I mean, it was one of those moments where you're just like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And why? Like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I want to turn this off and go do something else. Like, this is so bad. And the zombies come down and the announcers are, oh my God, we're going to go to a safer place because the zombies are here. And then, the match starts. The zombies adhere to Lumberjack rules, which is fantastic. That, they don't run in to eat brains. No, they stay on the outside. It's laughable. It's just absolutely, utterly embarrassing and ridiculous and has no value whatsoever. This company made $1 billion last year. What the fuck did they need this money for? To sponsor this thing? Because it was some Dave Bautista Netflix show, Army of Dead or Army of, I'm never going to watch it. Who fucking cares? Yeah, it's a zombie thing. I'm not going to watch it anyway. But like, do you really needed the money that badly? I
know. Brian Alvarez made that point too. They just had record revenues. How much did they get paid for this? 50,000, 100,000? Even if they got paid $1 million.
I'm not doing this. Yeah.
Is that worth the trade-off of giving this to your audience? And because if Rich is feeling uncomfortable and like it's the most embarrassing thing and he doesn't want anyone to come in the room, Rich probably represents a couple 100,000 people just like him. You're right in the demo. You're a 34, I don't know how old you are, 34, 35-year-old male. you know, there's a lot of other people like you who are probably like, this is humiliating. I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah, humiliating is a good word. I was just like, oh man.
You know, I know people want us to be funny and stuff.
No, there's nothing.
But this is like the Fiend stuff. I don't know how to be funny about it anymore. I don't know what to say. It's just
it's insulting. It shows me that they have an absolute complete lack of respect for their audience. It's just, here's this pile of steaming shit because we got $50,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, and here, just fucking eat it because we want to get paid. It's just it's complete, just a complete utter lack of care, of they just don't give a shit of what you think. You're an idiot. You're gonna watch it anyway. Yeah, fuck
it's
you.
so
You'll watch
beyond
it anyway.
the pale of what. It's just, I don't know what I'm supposed to say to be entertaining here. I wish I knew what to say, but it's just it's just what they do now. I mean, is it possible that there were some? Look, were there some children who enjoyed this? Maybe watching the show with their parents, maybe. Right? I mean, I don't know, but it's like, were there some kids that enjoyed the story of Dominic Mysterio saving his father? Maybe that's just not for me. But at least that's pro wrestling. You know, this, I don't know what this is. This isn't, I don't know. Can we just move on? I don't know what to say.
Yeah. People want us to bury this, but it's stupid and it's boring and there's nothing to say.
I wish I could be funny.
It's a bunch of zombies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
This is why, listen, and it's like, this is why their pay-per-views get pushed to the brink of the third hour where we're almost out of time now, because this is what they do. I mean, they're the biggest wrestling company in the world. We should be leading off with them every week, but we don't. Because of this, because of stuff like this. It's just a joke. I mean, I can't.
Lumberjack match. Well, thankfully along the way, the Miz tore his fucking ACL during this stupid ass match too. So now they don't have the Miz for months and months.
You got in big trouble on Twitter for saying that. You know that? Yeah. You were the bad boy on Twitter this week, not me.
For saying what a waste of the Miz's ACL to get torn. How dare you? He got hurt.
You said, I don't like the Miz, but
yeah,
I hate to see a guy tear his ACL
in a zombie match. Yes.
Right. People took that as you saying, like, they're offended that you said, why do you have to say...
Why do I have to qualify it by saying I don't like the Miz?
You don't like the Miz, but that you're not saying you would like to see the Miz tear his ACL. No. Otherwise, what you're saying is, even though you're not a fan of watching the Miz, it's a shame that a guy like this who suffers an injury in a match, like, anyway, whatever.
It's a match so absurd, and he tore it. Yeah, but you know.
Right. You were the one though who took a beating.
Yeah. I did. Well, thankfully, the rest of the show was pretty damn good, because then the SmackDown Women's title match, Bianca Belair versus Bayley, I thought this was tremendous. I thought Bayley,
really good.
This is the best I've ever seen Bayley look, I think, in terms of just being like a real, true, like, you know, I mean, like in terms of like leading through the match and kind of being like, there's better matches that Bayley has had, but I thought this was like the most professional thing. You know what I mean? Like, she just came out there and just owned this entire match. Just came out there and worked her ass off. Bianca Belair is awesome. It's just like, it's so funny, the juxtaposition of this company that 20 years ago, it was like the women were an absolute joke, and they're here for bra and panties matches, and they're here for cat fights and stuff, and it's all about the men. And now you have like the women's division somehow kind of is in its own little world right now, and they don't fuck with it too much. They kind of do a little bit with the Alexa Bliss stuff, but for the most part, the big title matches are just kind of no nonsense. Women go in and they fight for the title, and one of them wins, one leaves, you know what I mean? There's some stuff here and there, but it was so funny, the juxtaposition of the Dominic, which is the same story they've told 1,000 times, the zombie lumberjack, which is just absurd, and then they just said, hey, for 16 minutes, Bianca Belair and Bayley have a wrestling match, and they went and had a really, really good wrestling match, and I thought this is tremendous. Not my match of the night. The match of the night is going to come here in a sec, but real close to being my favorite match of the entire night. I went 4 stars with this one.
No!
I like it. I think it was good.
Yeah, it was a good, solid wrestling match. I mean, you summed it up better than I could, and you put it over more than I would. So, yeah, I thought, it was a good match.
Triple threat match.
What else to add?
Yeah, triple threat match for the WWE title. This was fucking awesome. Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre. They just said, go beat the fuck out of each other, guys. And they did. They beat the hell out of each other. The holy hell out of each other. My God, was this awesome.
No, this is really good, too. The one thing, this company gets nearly everything wrong. Like, it's amazing. They get just about they get 95% of things wrong. One thing they've gotten right is Bobby Lashley. And you could argue with breaking up Hurt Business and from that perspective, but in terms of just pushing a guy, they have gotten this right. And he's really finally living up to what people thought he could be in 2006.
Right, I was gonna say 15 years ago or whatever. So,
Yeah. But no, they've gotten the push right.
Yeah.
And they've gotten him over, and yeah, this was it's hard-hitting meat. I don't really like the finish, typical WWE three-way finish. I wasn't really into that. But yeah, just beefy guys beating each other up, and two of the three have been pushed pretty well, and Strowman was there too. But yeah, I enjoyed. Like I said, everything on this show was good or better, with the exception of the tag and the zombies.
Yeah, this is good stuff. This is just hard hitting. Drew was great in this. Bobby Lashley was great in this, and like you said, Strowman was fine. He was the third guy, but I think Lashley and Drew were fantastic during this. And
if you're not completely tired of tropey WWE style booking, you probably like the tag too.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like WWE is this night when I was watching this, I went, wait a minute, if this is the first time you've ever watched a show, it's great. You know what I mean? It's they're like fun stories. You know what I mean? They're good, but they tell the same 5 stories over and over and over and over and over again. Whether Vince just thinks those are the only stories they can tell, or he forgets that that's the story he tells, or he's just got his little comfort zone and his little security blankets. But yeah, if you just never watch this company, it's really good. Like if you just tune in once every 5 years, you'd probably find this pretty entertaining. So,
the Swink in the chat says that, hey, Bobby's Impact run was good too. It was, but he didn't feel as hot as he does now.
No. He feels like a made man right now. He feels like a bona fide, like, top of the roster guy right now. And Impact, it always felt like they didn't have anybody, so Bobby Lashley was the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was good. There was definitely good stuff in it, but yeah, I don't know if
didn't feel as hot as he does now.
No, definitely not. And then your main events, Universal title match, Roman Reigns versus Cesaro, defeats him by referee's decision. They did a lot of Uso drama backstage, in the build up to this match, where Jimmy Uso says, "Jay, you're a bitch," you know what I mean? Like, you're doing stuff for Roman, and that just really terrible promos that these are two brothers, and the way that they're talking is like no two human beings on earth, let alone two brothers, would talk in the way, "Hey, Jay, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody would ever say that.
Well, Rich, I know you don't watch SmackDown, but
you don't know that.
I
don't. Yeah, you're definitely right. But yes, go ahead.
I'm dedicated to the craft.
I was gonna say you don't know that, but you're correct.
Yeah, it's funny because like every time they have a segment on SmackDown with the Usos and Roman Reigns, the Usos will explain to Roman that they are brothers.
Yes,
even though
forgot.
Even though he not only knows that, but that they're like related. Well, like they have to explain. Every talking segment, one Uso has in front of Roman, because they have to treat everyone like they're goldfish. One Uso will inevitably at some point say to the other, "Well, this is my brother Jay, and I think he's being your bitch, Roman. And just because we're cousins," like they have to remind what humans have you ever spoken to a family member?
They're also twins. It's not like you're like, "Oh man, I don't know. Are these guys related?" They look exactly the same.
Yeah, I've never had a conversation with a family member and reminded someone else that we're related. Like, no one talks like
you're
this.
My cousin. It's like, I know I'm your cousin. Like, why would you tell me that?
They have to explain to Roman every time that they're brothers.
I love it. One of the pre-tapes they had where Jimmy gets into the room. So he walks into the room, and it's like that locker room, that Roman's locker room. He's got the special locker room or whatever. So he opens the door, and the camera zooms in on the back of his shirt that says Jimmy Uso on it in case.
Yeah.
Maybe through the course of the next 10 minutes, you're not going to know which one is Jimmy and which one's Jay. So they zoom in and let you know this one walking in is Jimmy Uso. And then immediately he goes, "Hey, Jay, what's with this locker room?" You know what I mean? It's like, God.
Awful.
You're a bitch. And it's like, whoa. You know, I mean, we're supposed to go, oh my God. Well, they didn't use any of that shit. Roman just beat the fuck out of Cesaro and so.
I love how the whole video package too was built around Uso Reigns drama and had nothing to do with Cesaro.
He just beat the fuck out of Cesaro for 27 minutes, worked his arm over, and fucking made him. The referee had to call it off, and no Uso involved in anything. So
Cesaro couldn't have been more of a fucking non-entity in this, as just a faceless avatar for Roman to beat on a B show than this. And you, sir, cost me $76 because you wouldn't let me put my $450 on it. When this was like the lock of the century, in hindsight.
I'm very risk averse, as you.
You are risk averse, yeah. But I mean, it was the lock of the century, Rich. That's how you make money. But at any rate, I am not $76 richer with Roman Reigns. What was it, minus 400 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't even bother. He just beat him clean as a sheet.
I mean, this company booked a zombie lumberjack match, so I had no confidence that they would actually, you don't know, but yeah, they had so little confidence in Cesaro. They didn't even have an Uso come in and briefly distract Roman. He beat the fuck out of this guy, and then afterwards they had another Uso come out and then beat the fuck out of Cesaro one more time.
Yeah, this is as clean as a WWE babyface can lose. You can't lose any cleaner in this company than Cesaro lost here. It's crazy. But I will say this. The match was fucking great. I love this.
So good. Yeah, really, really good stuff.
I love this. I went 4.5 on this. This is a great match. Cesaro was phenomenal. He watched the Champion Carnival. You can't convince me he did.
He stole the Otani spot.
That's what Otani did.
Yeah.
Fell out of the ring and, did the fucking the arm injury. It's the same spot. And then he comes in and Reigns just works it over like a fucking surgeon. Reigns was great here. Cesaro was even better. And he beat him just fucking clean. He fucking beat him clean. That's all you can ask for. If this was what WWE was, I'd love it. So, yeah, no, great match. I know a lot of our listeners blow off this company. This match is worth checking out.
Honestly, watch the last, if you want to cut it down, I mean, I know the opener we said was okay. You can honestly watch from Belair Bailey to the end of it, and you're going to get an hour and a half of pretty good wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this show wasn't that bad at all.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, that great main event. I mean, that was the easy notebook match. So that was WrestleMania Backlash, which I didn't have high hopes for.
No,
but
yeah, it ended up being pretty good. So
I didn't hate my life when it was over.
Yeah, there was a brief moment where I did, but then it got me back on track. So that was.
It's good, like the bar for WWE shows now is if you don't hate your life when it's over, then it's probably a pretty good
show. If I consider watching this company for another month, then yes, then you have successfully done that. So
yeah.
Which over the course of the last year and a half has many times where I've said, Joe, I think we got to stop just covering these WWE shows, but they have a few ones like these and they get us back in. So another month.
If you only think that during one match on the show, then it's a good WWE pay-per-view.
It's not bad at all. All right, we are up against the clock, but we are going to go overrun here. We got Melbourne City Wrestling, Dragon Gate, King of Gate. Also want to talk about the RVD doc on the WWE Network or Peacock. So if you were a live $10 subscriber, just stay on the line. The same thing, the same link. Everything is going to be exactly the same. If you are one of those freeloaders listening on the podcast app, you got to go to patreon.com/voices of wrestling, get on our Patreon, and then you can listen to the overrun or review of MCW, Dragon Gates, and the RVD doc, and some other stuff as well. But yeah, that's it. So if you're listening live, you're a $10 subscriber, you are good. You're good to go. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you're going to get it on your Patreon.
Hang on.
Yep.
And if you're listening live, do not.
Yeah, stay.
You can stay on and listen to the rest. Or you can move on with your night and listen to it on the feed tomorrow. That's up to you.
Right. So you're going to get it on the audio feed, or you can go and listen to this video, do the replay on YouTube as well, which many people do. But yeah, the only people that are not going to hear it are the freeloaders. But you can hear it at patreon.com/voice of wrestling. So for Joe, I'm Rich. We'll talk to you next time on the Voice of Wrestling Flagship Podcast. Take care.
For the ones standing guard, for the eagle-eyed, for the knights in shining armor, and for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.